All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Paper Mario Glitchless Invitational. We are in the semifinals right now. These are the top 4 Paper Mario Glitchless runners right now in the semifinals. Today's match is with ch0msky versus Glower. Really, I mean, two of the best players to touch this game. So, super excited to see how this plays out. I'm Blue Crystal, and here's Hednisk.
Hey guys, this is Hednisk here.
And I think we're both super excited. So looks like they're gonna get started. ch0msky's a little. I don't know what's going on with ch0msky's feed.
Oh, this is the run, Blue.
He's doing Junior Troopa skip almost. It looks like. Sure that'll get sorted out. But Glower on Glower's side starting right now. And let me pull up their PBs so I can tell you just how close this is likely going to be.
Now let's make sure we take a look at N64 times, because Glower does primarily play on Wii U.
Looks like ch0msky's stream is down or something like that. But yeah, anyway, looking at their Nintendo 64 PBs, which is what we care about, their PBs are 10 seconds apart, which is super close. Super excited to see how this plays out. And j0msky, who is in tomorrow's match in the semifinals, is also within 8 seconds of ch0msky's PB. So very close semifinals matches here. So super excited to see how this plays out. These runners, I think, have both finished a lot of 347s, 348s recently, which is super good pace for a tournament setting. So hopefully they can both pull out a really good run, and we'll get a good show here.
Yeah, they've both been practicing a whole lot for this, so no matter who wins, we should have a really exciting match on our hands here.
And already seeing how tight both of their movement is. I mean, this is obviously, the top 4 players in Glitchless. So their movement is all going to be super clean. We're going to be looking at the tiny little details of their movement. The spin cancels and when they jump out of their spins. And it's really going to matter in these semifinals and finals matches.
Yeah, I imagine these matches here are really going to come down to the finer points of movement, and even then some RNG quite possibly. So
yeah, it could very well come down to just the smallest RNG things. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Hopefully it goes really smoothly for both of them.
I know in their skill, I'm sure it will, but we've got 3.5 hours to find out. So buckle in, everybody.
Yeah, get some popcorn, go to the bathroom. It's gonna be a long one.
And it's all prologue.
4 hours of prologue.
Yes, everybody, this is the run, just the intro cutscene.
And oh my goodness, Tweenie, thank you for gifting 5 tier 1 subs to twitch.tv/speedrun. Everyone who got a sub, enjoy your GSA emotes. Throw a clock in the chat if you got one, or if you had a sub anyway. So thank you so much for your generosity. ch0msky maybe a little in the lead here.
Yeah, it looks like it, actually.
Peach's castle movement really showing itself.
Yeah, it's really surprising, honestly, even in the very first few minutes of the game, which is mostly cutscenes, how the smallest bit of movement can really make an actually noticeable difference here. So enough of this over the course of the run. We're going to get something really exciting on our hands.
Yeah, you can definitely lose like 5 seconds in prologue and just have no clue where you lost that, and it's all just due to slightly inoptimal movement. So Bowser fight's almost over, and the interesting thing, neither of them fell victim to the weird text thing in Peach's Castle, where you kind of can't jump out of your spin if there's a NPC you can talk to next to you. which can kind of slow you down in Peach's Castle because there is a high density of NPCs there. And that is what you're going to be seeing a lot for the next 4 hours is spinning and then jumping out of the spins, which preserves the momentum without the lag at the end of a spin. So that's the optimal way to move. And there are other ways of canceling spins that we'll talk about when they come up. But that is most of what you're going to see is spin, jump, spin, jump.
And of course, we'll see some spin and fall. We'll see some spinning into walls and using that to almost ricochet them off into a different direction. But the movement in this game is honestly really, really tight.
Yeah, it is really interesting for an RPG to have really interesting and optimized movement tech, such as Paper Mario. So that'll be really interesting to see if you're not familiar with the game. Prologue is a little boring though. I think someone timed it to be like 6 minutes of actually playing the game, and most of it's just text.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The cool thing is, in this game, text can advance just by holding the B button, and that is frame perfect. It's actually faster than frame perfectly mashing A. So it is really comfy to just be able to hold the B button, not have to mash for text like you do in a lot of games.
Yeah, it's absolutely great being able to just really just hold B and skip all the text. I know if anyone who's played something like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, there's a lot of text mashing in that game. And thankfully for an RPG, we don't have to do a whole lot of mash and just hold and wait, thankfully. For the premier speed tech. So what we've got now on both runner screens, we've got Mario waking up in Goomba Village after Peach's castle is lifted up into the air and he's jettisoned out the side by Bowser who'd stolen the Star Rod. He is found here by Goombaria, I believe that's her name, and brought to the Toad House here. So this is where the adventure starts, everybody.
Goombaria, who's actually an unused partner in the game. You can actually like use cheats to almost like get her as a partner, but I don't think she has any effect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think she...
crashing the game mostly.
Very useful for the crash percent run that may eventually be coming, but yeah, I don't think she has any attacks or any special abilities, and every partner in this game that you get through the course of normal gameplay does have a special ability. We'll see most of them in this run. Really, the primary exception is Goombario, who's the first partner we'll pick up. We don't actually use his special ability at any point during the run, as all it really does is pop up some text and makes a hold B for a little bit.
Yeah, Goombario is mostly useless in this run. However, if you're a Goombario lover and you would love to see Goombario after Chapter 1, when we get new partners, it is actually useful for one fight in the game. So we'll probably see both of those runners use Goombario for that one in Chapter 4. It's an hour and a half down the line.
Yeah, so we got a little bit of time to wait, but Goombario will eventually make his return.
Yeah, and perfect sync here for both runners, too.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane for it to be so tight. Well, it is only prologue.
Yeah, but we'll see in the playground, in Junior's playground, there's the bush they have to get to, and then the coin block they have to hit. And you could lose a lot of time on the coin block over the other person if their hammer cancels are better.
Yeah, it's surprising, honestly, how much time you can lose on that coin block.
Yeah, so it's kind of an advanced strat. You can cancel the hammer after a certain point of its animation just by pressing B, and that allows you to start a new hammer faster. Oh, and Glower getting to the right side of the block, but messing up a little bit, I think. So ch0msky is going to take a little bit of a lead here, exiting the playground and going into the Junior Troopa fight.
By only about a second, I think. Maybe less.
Yeah, still very close, and ultimately there are a lot of points that such a small difference could be kind of made moot. So we'll see if anything goes poorly throughout the course of the run. But this is just a scripted fight, just mashing A. Although,
interestingly though, one of the things that you see here is actually a pretty important tech for a lot of the jump moves. It's kind of tough to tell on the screen, but what both of the runners are actually doing after they select the jump attack and select Junior Troopa is they're actually continuing to mash A. After a certain point, after a certain amount of distance on the ground, you can actually hit A to jump slightly early. And this is something that we're going to see a lot of with jump attacks throughout the game, just to save some additional frames in every fight that actually utilizes jump attacks. So if you were to, for example, just wait for Mario to jump, he would actually jump maybe a good handful of frames.
10, yeah, you can
later.
save up to 10 frames just by doing that. So throughout the course of the run, we do a lot of jump moves. So that's super big. 10 frames every jump.
Yeah, and this game runs at 30 frames per second, so every single time that you get one of those early, if you get it perfectly, that's about a third of a second. And with the number of encounters in this game, that certainly adds up to a pretty significant amount of time at the end of the game.
Yeah, and at the level these runners are playing at, it's definitely really important to get as many of those as you can.
Yeah, every second counts here.
Both having pretty good Goombario times. It's looking like pretty much the Goombario time to shoot for is a sub 11. So we'll see in just a second.
Both runners also now getting the power jump badge. One of the most important things you want to do in this game actually is avoid this and two other tutorials, which take up anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds each. So just accidentally hitting yes here can really be pretty bad. So we want to make sure we avoid those.
But I think both got like 1057 Goombarios, 1056 maybe from ch0msky. So really good Goombario times to see, and both immediately equipping power jump. That's going to be useful in just 30 seconds pretty much for the next fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from this point on in the game, we're going to want to be really careful about the enemies that we see. So one of the worst things that can happen in a glitchless run in general is accidentally getting encounters that you didn't want. And that's for a couple reasons. One, right, the XP routing is so tight for the end of the game, but also if you get an unwanted encounter, you have to run away, and especially in the beginning of the game where you're counting coins, it can really cause some difficulties in recouping your losses. So we see both runners here now entering the Goomba Twins fight, or the Goomba Bros.
Yeah, not much to say here, but their menuing could cause a little bit of a time difference. Although, you can hammer going into the cutscene that starts this fight. And if you hammer, the earlier you hammer, if you hit the cutscene trigger, Mario will actually completely stop. And if you don't do that, he'll keep going. And what this does is allows you to exit the battle a little bit to the left if you hammered early enough. And that's going to save some time because they have to go back to the left here in just a second. So I know Glower is a little further to the left. So let's see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, and that fight was also the first example of badge combat that we see. The badges that you pick up, power jump, power bounce, and all the other ones that we use throughout the game here, they all give you more or less special abilities. They increase damage that your attacks do. So, they're going to be very, very important, especially later in the game, to make sure that we're fighting enemies in the most efficient way possible.
Yeah, and another fight coming up right here is the Goomba King fight. Again, not much to say, but definitely a lot of time to be saved in menuing. Although these runners are both really good at their menus. Although there is something that will cost or save, depending on how you look at it, 8 frames. And that's an attack Goomba King can do. Goomba King should only attack once during this fight. And his attack is random between 2 options. One of the attacks is 8 frames faster. So we'll see if one of them gets it and the other one doesn't, or something like that.
Yeah, and this is relatively small, but still really one of the first examples of RNG in the game. Just within fights themselves, certain bosses, this one included, will have different abilities that they can use, and unfortunately not all abilities are created equal. Some do more damage, some are faster, some are slower.
ch0msky getting the good attack, and Glower actually getting the bad attack. So Glower's losing another 8 frames there for that attack. And coming up after the fight is something interesting. There's actually a trick you can do You have to get this blue switch out of the bush, and there's a trick you can do where you jump into the switch as it's flying out of the bush and hit it in midair. And this is actually faster on Wii U, but it actually crashes the Nintendo 64, and I believe, actually, I don't think it crashes Wii VC, but it does crash the N64. And Glower typically runs on Wii U, so that's something he has to make sure he doesn't do, is that switch jump there. Although I'm not actually sure if that's allowed in Glitchless. I do not know the ruling on that.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure. Considering so many runners run on N64, I'm not sure that there's ever really been much attention paid to that particular trick, actually.
ch0msky getting a little bit caught on that wall there, but still in this comfortable second plus lead here, which is a fairly big lead for Prologue.
Yeah, and you still have very solid movement. It's very easy to get caught on that on that corner. I know I certainly do it all the time.
Glower not saving, trying to save those frames. So if you're familiar with runs like Super Mario 64, exiting when you get a star and come out of the course, you have the option to save and continue, save and quit, or don't save and continue. And if you're familiar with those runs, it's actually faster to menu down to don't save and continue, because the saving kind of lags. In this game, actually, it is technically faster to not save and continue. Saves a few frames though. So you pretty much have to be perfect with the menuing. And if you're not perfect, then you're actually losing time. So almost everyone chooses to just save and continue. But Glower opting to do that kind of task strat and hit the don't save button.
We'll see if it pays off for him. Both runners now entering into Toad Town, which, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the longest sections in Prologue of just movements.
Yeah, I think it is actually.
If only because if only because the mountain is so tall and takes so long to climb. But actually, what we see both runners doing just a couple moments ago are combinations of spin cancels against ledges. What we'll see are ledge cancels where they fall off. You'll see ch0msky and Glower both going for a spin onto the brick. These are both just small tricks that they're trying to do to maintain their velocity for as long as possible and keep going as fast as they can with their spin. Because again, like Blue had mentioned earlier, spinning is actually the fastest movement naturally possible in the game, and the longer that you can maintain that that kind of velocity, the better off your movement generally is.
So yeah, about a second difference here. Not too bad. Glower's not too far behind, but definitely a lot more that can change in Chapter 1. There are several RNG parts and a lot more movement. So I'm sure we'll see the gap either become non-existent or bigger, perhaps, in Chapter 1.
It absolutely could, but knowing the caliber of these two runners, I honestly expect if we see lead switches, I expect them to probably go back and forth. I think we've got a really good race ahead of us here.
Definitely, these semifinals and finals are something to stick around for, because these are going to be super hype. I'm assuming very close. These runners are all very capable of beating one another.
Absolutely. So the time estimate on any percent glitchless is about 3:45 roughly. A lot of new runners go for sub 4-hour times, but what we probably will expect to see here today is right around 3:45, 3:46, 3:47 likely. Just based on their previous PBs. And
yeah, I would say that something they're going to shoot for here is a sub 350 in this race. Would be amazing to get a sub 350 in a race. These runners are definitely capable of 347s, 348s in no resets. So that's kind of the time we're looking at. 345 is probably better than their PBs.
Yeah, but sub 4 for certain. And the 139 that we're seeing in the chat, that is currently the world record held by Glower for Wii U any percent. So not quite glitchless, but also a very exciting run.
All right, so concluding the first Peach cutscene, the first of many that we'll see in between the chapters of this game, and just a little bit of movement here before our next cutscene. So
But what they're
Twink is
actually
gonna
getting
get the action
here,
command.
yeah, they're both getting the action commands, which will allow them to do things like double jump and deal increased damage to enemies and start blocking. So the combat starts to become a little more intense, but also it becomes a lot more tight. Missing action commands, especially at certain parts in the game, can just be immediate run killers. So there's a lot of practice that goes into a lot of fights here. Unlike your standard JRPG, something like Final Fantasy VII, where you just select your attack and let it go, the fights in this game are actually very, very interactive. What we're seeing now is, Power Jump is doing 4 damage instead of just 2 damage by hitting that action command, and they're able to block these attacks and reduce the amount of damage they do. For this fight in particular, it's not super, super important, but later on we'll see it become much more critical that they actually block certain attacks and hit their action commands when they're supposed to.
Yeah, in the next semifinals match, j0msky and Butterlord, who are the top 2 glitchless N64 runners, they are going to race tomorrow, Saturday, at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So I guess that's, was that 17:30 UTC?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, and coming up on the last stretch of Prologue, they're going to get rid of these black toads. Merlin is going to take care of them for us. And then we are finally going to see the start of Chapter 1, which is where things get a little more exciting.
Yeah, looks like ch0msky's actually building his lead here.
Yeah, I know ch0msky has been getting super good prologues recently. I think he said he was on pace for like the best prologue ever done earlier in a run the other day. So definitely takes pride in his movement here in prologue, I think.
Yeah, and I think he's likely on pace for a very similar time here today. So we'll see. But he has been practicing a lot, and so is Glower, honestly. And they're both very, very close to each other.
And we'll see what kind of time ch0msky gets for this prologue.
$21.49 out of ch0msky, and a 21
very close to his gold, I think.
Yeah, that's
21.51, I think, for Glower.
21.51 for Glower, yeah.
So
that is
yeah,
incredible.
both really good prologue times. ch0msky pulling at the sub 21.50, which is really solid. And they're going to attempt to do a cutscene overlap here. ch0msky missed it. It's a 1-frame trick. Glower got it. You can pick up PAL block on the same frame that the blue switch comes out of the tree, and so the 2 cutscenes will overlap, so you have a little bit less of a waiting time there.
And so one thing we're going to see in the beginning of the game here, especially in Chapter 1, is what I'm going to call coin management. After Chapter 2, this becomes non-existent, but for the first probably 45 minutes of the game, the runner is going to be paying attention pretty closely to how many coins they're picking up. There's a very specific route that they use, so it's not at all random, but we have to make sure that they both have enough coins to get a particular badge that's going to help out a lot with movement later on, as well as allow them to buy all the items that they need in Chapter 1 and 2.
Yeah, after these items, which are 3 PAL blocks and a fire flower, which they're going to use in Chapter 1 fights, they're going to worry about getting Speedy Spin, which is a badge, which, again, is a badge that lets them move faster when they spin. And Speedy Spin is 50 coins, so that's a lot of coins to collect. And they also need 9 coins worth of items in Chapter 2. Since I think both of them are using the expert route, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think so. Of course, no risky strats, but what we're seeing both runners head on their way to now is really one of the earliest pieces of kind of semi-major RNG. This is what we colloquially call the fuzzy game. The whole point here is to get the blue shell back from the fuzzies and give it back to Cooper so he joins the party. But the order in which the fuzzies jump, the number of times that they jump, and where they ultimately end up jumping is all actually random. And so, because both runners are so close to each other at this point, who has the lead after this is totally up in the air.
Yeah,
It's also
both
interesting.
getting good first rounds. ch0msky is picking up a little bit of time with these tree placements.
Wow, that was an incredibly fast.
Oh my god,
Oh no,
ch0msky got the
ch0msky
fuzzy encounter.
hit the fuzzy.
Oh
So
no.
that is
That's
wild.
okay. That's really bad. Yeah. Jeez, that is so bad. He's gonna probably level up before Hallway Bowser.
He might.
And he blocked it.
If he gets a double Fright Jar success in Chapter 1, he may not.
I think he might need Chapter 6 as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's really bad. So ch0msky hit the wrong tree and got a fuzzy encounter, which is uncommon. That's a really uncharacteristic mistake to make for ch0msky.
Yeah, that's very.
So he gets the shell now, but yeah, so Glower picked up the shell, got through the third round already, and he's going to take a humongous lead here. So that's not only bad for just the time, it's also really bad for the experience routing, because he had to, that was a mandatory encounter. He couldn't run away. So ch0msky's going to have to take that experience from the enemies, and experience points are super tightly routed in this run. 6, I think, is a little too much, depending on what goes on with the RNG parts in the rest of the run. But yeah, that's really not good. So it might be even more of a time loss for ch0msky later, depending on what happens.
Yeah, that is pretty dangerous, but you know, there are at least backups for it. They're not pretty, but it's at least not a run killer. Not totally anyway, so.
Yeah. So, wait. That's very interesting. ch0msky already leveling up. Which might throw something off in the fortress. Depending.
Probably only the first. Probably only the first
Yeah,
encounter,
he
I think.
might just want to do a different strat for this first fight. But yeah, I don't even know what to say. That was really interesting, uncharacteristic of ch0msky picking the wrong fuzzy tree. I will say that the third round is fairly fast, to the point where they slowed it down on the English version, I believe.
Yeah, they did.
So it's not an easy mini game, but you almost never see runners mess that up.
Now, we see Glower now actually entering the Koopa Brothers Fortress. This is the first encounter I'd been mentioning earlier.
Yeah, so this is the fight you're supposed to level up on. ch0msky, unfortunately, getting that extra experience and leveling up early, so I'm not sure what he's gonna try and do. He'll have to kind of do a shake and bake backup, I guess. But yeah, both leveling up flower points, the FP stat, which is the mana special points. It lets us do special moves pretty much in this game. And we need a lot of that. Most of our level ups are going to be FP, with 1 HP level up, only 1, and 3 badge point level ups. And badge points are just what lets us equip badges. Stronger badges have higher badge point requirements. So ch0msky opting to do power jump here, which costs FP, and he does need a certain amount of FP for the rest of the fights in Chapter 1. So I'm not sure what he is going to opt to do for these fights. I sure hope he gets a double Fright Jar success.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We've got Glower going into the switch fight. Once he kills these enemies and the screen wipes away, we should see a switch drop down from the ceiling, which will bring him into, I believe, the next... right into the, well, that Fright Jar fight we've been talking about, so... Another good bit of RNG in Chapter 1. But you know what? All things considered from a timing perspective, if you look at where the two runners are, they're not all that far away from each other.
Oh, I see what ch0msky's doing. He's going to opt to do a shell toss and just let the bob-omb. That's a really smart idea.
Yeah,
huge props to ch0msky for thinking about that.
That is super.
Yeah, incredibly good idea. Wow. So he instead of doing the power shell you're supposed to, he did a shell toss, which costs no FP. but only killed the Koopa. Normally you kill all of them with one move, as you saw Glower do. But he's going to opt to save that FP for here. And Glower's coming up on the Fright Jar here, so plus RNG for this. Okay, and Glower gets by with a double success, which is an 81% chance.
Best possible outcome.
Yeah, it's 90% for both, or for each of them, each of the enemies. So good to get that. He doesn't want to have to deal with a Fright Jar fail.
Yeah. And the reason that's so important is because dispatching enemies with a Fright Jar causes them to give no experience. And so coming up in this next fight that we'll see ch0msky do, if he gets anything shy of a double Fright Jar success like Glower just did, that's going to cause some pretty large difficulties for him, very likely in the coming couple hours.
Yeah, 4 XP is like the most you can. Oh no!
And he got a single failure.
That's what we were afraid of. He's gonna have to probably do something weird later, or just do a weird final Bowser strat. I'm not even really sure. What he's gonna
ultimately,
have to do.
it's not over, but this is a very challenging position to be in. Glower having some trouble picking up that last coin there.
Anyway, so yeah, that each Koopa there in that fight gives 2 EXP, and you can get away with a double fail on the Fright Jar and kill both of them, and that's 4 XP, which is like the most you're really afforded. I'm not actually sure what the most theoretically you can get away with is, but you know, 6 from the fuzzies is really not good, plus the Fright Jar, that's gonna be 8 experience, and I'm really not sure if he can get away with that.
Not ideally. He's going to level up at some pretty weird points. Thankfully, I don't think he's going to level up at any point where he'll lose Peril where he desperately needs it, at least not that I can tell offhand, but definitely at the end of the game where we want to make sure you maintain Peril between the last 2 iterations of Bowser. That's
some people saying 6 EXP or 6 XP is the max you can get, so that Fright Jar really not good. That Fright Jar fail.
That said, it's far from over. Anything can happen. You know, we're 30 minutes into an almost 4-hour run, so early mistake.
I actually think ch0msky can get away with this if he. So in the beginner route, you kill. I don't know. It's going to be something weird in Chapter 6, and I guess we'll point it out then. But he might have to do something different for moles. Although
that's coming up in a couple hours. We'll see what happens throughout the rest of the run. We're seeing ch0msky now just do what Glower just did, picking up Bombette. Glower, after breaking out of the jail, is fighting these enemies here. They're going to drop some coins that both runners will need. So, you know, despite the difficulties that that ch0msky's had, they're really not all that far apart from each other.
Okay, so someone in chat pointed out that the fuzzies gave 4, so he's actually at 6, which is the maximum, and I think that's true looking at their EXP differences between ch0msky and Glower. So actually, I think he's all right, or he should be all right. But it's still a lot of time lost from getting that fuzzy encounter and having the Fright Jar fail. I don't even know how much time lost that is. It's not good. Not what you want to see in Chapter 1.
Yeah, there's quite a bit there. We're seeing Glower do the tower climb now. And coming up here, he's switching to Cooper to save some time while that lock falls off. But we're going to see Glower do a trick called pie jumps. These were discovered by the runner I Ate Your Pie. And basically this allows you to jump around collisions. So normally you'd have to hit those switches again, lower the platforms, and raise them again. And that takes a very long time. But by doing what you saw Glower do just now, you're able to jump right around them. And thankfully he gets them first try, so we don't see any, no falling today.
I can. Also, I was really worried. Glower looked like he almost fell on a few of those Well, on both of those, but
It was pretty close.
yeah. Fortunately, gets by. ch0msky is just probably gonna have to do high jumps, both of them, if he really wants to stay in this early game.
And Glower continuing the tower climb. Hi, Kendall.
Okay, ch0msky gets by. A little slow, but, does not want to fall there.
Yeah. Falling there loses probably pretty close to 30 seconds. That stair climb that Glower just did is actually pretty tight to get around the to get around the Koopas there. You don't want to encounter them. Given that they're on stairs, they're running. Losing coins there is actually pretty easy to do. If you want to avoid getting a second encounter. And actually, what we see Glower doing now is jumping over a bunch of bulletvilles. Again, we do not want to encounter any of these. This is basically the mini boss before the boss for level 1. And he gets the first strike on the cannons with Bombette, which reduces the number of turns in this fight by 1.
He's also going to save time by coming down here during the first strike animation to hit this hard block after the fight and then run up and grab the coins, which is a little tight, but he should have no problem getting all the coins. Although he might have missed a coin. Does this fight give 10 or 9? I think actually this is the one that gives 10. So.
Yeah, the jail fight gives 9, the cannons drop 10. And you can actually afford to miss one, since you only need 50 to get Speedy Spin. And you can make that last one up relatively easily in the desert, depending on which strategy you're going for.
Yes, ch0msky got a Fright Jar fail, and more importantly, got an encounter on the fuzzy game. He hit the wrong tree and got an encounter, so pretty unfortunate, uncharacteristically from ch0msky. And then the Fright Jar fail RNG, which was just kind of adding insult to injury.
And now we see Glower squaring off with Bowser. Can you believe that we're already at the end of the game? Absolutely.
Yeah, Glower must have done like Peach Warp or something. Glower is at the end of the game. Did he do a glitch?
And look at just like that, Bowser.
All right, so congratulations, Glower is your semifinal winner in this match. Oh, no, never mind. It's just the Koopa Bros.
And just for a second, I thought he came in over 3 hours under world record.
I still get fooled by these guys every single time. It's ridiculous.
Good old Trojan Bowser.
Yeah, the wrong warp to the end of the game. Not a terribly difficult fight, and a great song to boot. Unfortunately, you don't hear it for very long.
Both runners just beating up on the Koopa Bros and fake Bowser again. See Glower finishing off that off chapter 1 pretty nicely, coming in at a low 38, probably.
Yeah, a low 38 is really good chapter 1 time, especially in a race. So really good job by Glower. ch0msky obviously getting a few time losses, but so ch0msky is really going to be wishing the worst of Speedy Spin luck on his opponent coming up. There are definitely points at which ch0msky can make it up. ch0msky's really consistent throughout the game with his movement and all that. So I certainly expect ch0msky to, put his best foot forward in terms of bringing this as close as possible.
Absolutely. We see Glower with a 38-10 exiting chapter 1.
And it's also not like there aren't RNG parts that could help ch0msky out. There are certainly several of them.
Yeah, honestly, Speedy Spin. If Glower were to get second or even third,
yeah,
goodness, Speedy Spin.
I actually forget the timing for every try of Speedy Spin that isn't first. Forget what it is.
It's like about 20 to 30 seconds, I think.
25 seconds sounds good in my head.
Yeah, 24, 25
I
sounds
guess
about
that's the
right.
average. So
Yeah, admittedly, I don't actually know the specific, the specific time. I just know it's not good.
yeah, it's not what either of these runners want, especially Chomsky on top of his current deficit. And yeah, 38:10 Chapter 1 for Glower is really, really solid.
Chomsky coming in just under a minute behind, it looks like.
A quick reminder to stay hydrated for this 4-hour run. Be sure to take a drink of water every so often, maybe at the start of every Peach cutscene. Who knows?
With our sponsors, Crystal Geyser.
Yeah, Poland Springs, you listening? So less than a minute difference, which is pretty bad for Chapter 1, admittedly, but absolutely doable for Chomsky.
Yeah, with another 3 hours in this run, a minute differential is really, I'd be surprised if this is what, if this is where we were at the end.
Yeah, if this, I'd be highly surprised if this is the kind of difference the entire run. There's just no way. But the important thing is Chomsky keeps his head up and does his best to trim the lead, because he's more than capable of doing it out of sheer just movement. At least a good chunk of his time deficit right now. And then he'll also be hoping for some RNG to be on his side.
Yeah, this is a case where, even if both runners just continue to play perfectly consistently, RNG could be a major player here. So
Chomsky asking Glower to do the tutorial, hoping that his opponent does the tutorial. Fortunately, Glower not choosing to do the tutorial.
and
Chomsky also not doing the tutorial.
Glower picking up the Dizzy Spin badge in Chapter 1. We will never actually see that this run until the very end of the game. So we're gonna hold on to that one for a little while. But Glower also now entering the second Junior Troopa encounter, in which he learns how to shield himself with his shell, and oh no, how will we ever get around these impenetrable defenses? I guess the answer's like that.
Yeah, fortunately, the badges and Bombette's special move Bomb is more than enough to take care of him in 2.5 turns. Yeah, he's completing his shell, completing the egg. And one more hammer will do it for Glower.
They've always asked if, the chicken or the egg came first, but I don't remember seeing any chickens in this game, Blue.
I think it was the Koopa Troopa that came first.
Yeah, I think we found our answer.
And another FP upgrade. Chomsky will also be upgrading FP after this fight. Again, FP super useful. Most of our upgrades are going to be FP, you'll be seeing. Super useful to be able to do all the attacks that they want to do. And BP here and there to be able to equip the badges that are super useful. And then 1 HP upgrade just so he can take care of the later bosses.
And Glower
got his second try, at least second try Speedy Spin. Oh, man. So Chomsky is really thanking the RNG gods for that one.
Likely
Glower is not thanking the RNG gods for that one.
No, that is a really
so
tough one.
25% chance, yeah. It's 75% that Speedy Spin will be there, so every time that it's not, that's a 25% chance. We'll see if he gets it second try. All right.
And he does get
second try Speedy Spin. Chomsky is going to save 25 seconds, something around there.
As long as he gets first.
As long as he gets it.
As long as he gets it. Now, what's the world record for most Speedy Spin attempts? I think that's about 9 by Sunto, right?
Yeah, the record for most tries to get Speedy Spin is 9 by Suntafoot. So that is unbelievably unlucky. So hopefully it does not happen to Chomsky. Chomsky getting the scary last slot for Speedy Spin, but first try. So he's going to save upwards of 20 seconds with that missed magic whip.
Still not an amount of time to sneeze at. So, like we were saying earlier, I mean the RNG in this game really can make the difference ultimately, even if both players play perfectly.
Yeah, they are gonna hope for some RNG elements to go in their favor during some of the fights, especially.
And we'll see what time. Glower enters chapter 2 at 44:38. ch0msky on his tail.
There's also a difference in that ch0msky does not get the seed before going to chapter 2.
True.
And Glower does, so there is that time difference.
.45:05, so just about 30 seconds behind. Although, like you mentioned, you did not pick up the seed. Well, we see Glower.
It's probably about 30-35 seconds. So now really doable for ch0msky compared to a minute.
Absolutely. What we see Glower doing now is talking to Paracarry, who's our next partner that we're going to pick up. But before he'll agree to join you, you have to pick up the rest of his mail. He's not a very attentive mailman. He dropped some letters all over the mountain. So he sends you on a small fetch quest to go pick them up. You see Glower picking up the first one here with Cooper. And one other thing you'll see ch0msky do, which Glower just did as well, is beating Wacko over the head and picking up his bump. These items not only are worth quite a bit in other categories, coin-wise, it's a very powerful and potent healing item, which we're going to see a little bit of use of in Chapter 2 here.
Yeah, so deceptively tough movement on the mountain. I know ch0msky is quite good at this segment, though. So a lot of time to be saved or lost here, just because of the weird geometry of Mountain Rugged, and also the Chapter 2 dungeon, Dry Ruins. It's very interesting geometry, so we'll see how that plays out for both runners.
Yeah, honestly, the mountain, for me, personally, is one of my favorite areas in the game just to move around. It feels very crisp, but like you mentioned, it is a little challenging to navigate sometimes.
Yeah, like you just saw Glower get caught on that, the wall, which the walls are kind of weird on Mountain Rugged, so definitely possible to get stuck on some of them. ch0msky opting to use Cooper to get that letter. I'm not sure which is faster. Maybe they're about the same, but Glower opted not to and got kind of stuck on that wall, so a little bit of time saved for ch0msky getting these letters.
And we've got a 47:20 power carry for Glower. And ch0msky not at all far behind. Looks like he made up a really healthy share of time on that split.
Yeah, it definitely helped with the first try speedy spin.
It's 47:47. He's only now about 27 seconds behind.
Yeah, so made up a decent amount of time with his movement.
Again, despite the seed. That will come back and lose a couple seconds later, but... And what we see Glower doing now is talking to Buzzar, the first and possibly only optional boss that we see in this category. And actually avoiding him is very simple. He tries to find out who you are for Bowser. You just tell him you're Luigi and he lets you go. And getting the Buzzar encounter would actually be the run killer, with Glower now entering a Dry Desert.
Yeah, encountering Buzzar by saying the wrong thing is kind of scary because you have to do that menu. And if you mess up the menu to say the wrong thing, then you will have a battle with Buzzar, and there's just no escaping that. You can't run away. If you manage to beat Buzzar somehow, your experience is going to be totally screwed up. So nothing really you can do if you encounter Buzzar.
And Glower coming up on our first example of an upgrade block in the game. These are used to level up different partners like Mario would be. This helps them unlock additional attack power as well as additional abilities. We choose to level up Bombette first. Her second level ability is Power Bomb, which functions like her regular bomb but does a little more damage and also targets everybody everyone in the encounter. So a very powerful AoE move.
Well, it targets everyone on the ground.
Yes, on the ground.
Her fourth move, Mega Bomb, targets every enemy in the encounter. So it's very powerful, but unfortunately not worth it to get in a glitchless run.
Yeah, that's a fair distinction. We actually see very few flying enemies in this category, surprisingly.
Yeah, and one of Paracarry's attacks will take care of those usually. Or Starstorm, which is one of the Star Spirit abilities we'll see. And Glower bought the 2 mandatory items to progress the story, a dried shroom and a dusty hammer, in that order. That lets him get up and talk to Moustafa, I guess. And then a Thunderbolt, which you'll also see ch0msky buying. The Thunderbolt is just for one encounter in the Dry Ruins.
Yeah, and ch0msky is about 27, 28 seconds behind at this point. And Glower now heading back into Dry Desert. With the Pulse Stone that he got from Mustafa, he's off to find the second star card dungeon, which, like Blue had mentioned, has some pretty interesting movement. I'll wait to say any more about it till it pops up, but the regular angles that you might normally hold in this game become a little more awkward in this upcoming dungeon.
Yeah, the geometry of this dungeon is kind of curved, so moving straight right and left, like if you just hold straight right or left on the control stick, will kind of run you into one of the walls. So they're going to have to adjust their angles accordingly, and it can be really tough to get the perfect lines in this dungeon. So definitely a lot of time to save or lose, depending. And I know Glower's used to Wii U, and the control angles are kind of different on Wii U versus N64, so we'll see if maybe ch0msky can make up some time.
Glower having to do some kind of weird movement to pick up Spike Shield out of that coffin. Spike Shield makes you immune to jumping on spiked enemies. You don't take damage when you jump on them. That will come up later as well.
Yeah, ch0msky is going to probably go for a pretty cool way of grabbing Spike Shield, and you can save a little bit of time if you can get it. Yeah, so he hammers through the coffin behind the pokey to grab the badge, since the hammer does extend your pickup hitbox for items and badges. So saves a little bit of time on Glower, and we'll see if his movement can carry him to, close this deficit a little further. This Buzzy Beetle is kind of blind. You can just kind of jump up there and use Paracarry, and he won't notice you at all.
I encounter him way more than I'd care to, admittedly, but it is pretty easy to get around.
I think we've all had some bad times in this dungeon, so...
I know I have. But so far, both our runners, both ch0msky and Glower, seem to be making pretty good work of
yeah, we'll see how the pokey fights go. They picked up a Thunderbolt, And normally, the beginner rat would pick up 2 thunderbolts or 3 even, and use another one on one of these fights. But instead, they're gonna have to go for a first strike with Bombette, and neither of them should really fail this. They're pretty good at it, but if they do, that could be a lot of time lost that they do not want to take here.
Yeah, I think it's about 4 to 6 seconds every time that you miss the first strike. And that's assuming you stay out of combat.
Yeah, no problem for Glower there. And he'll use Paracarry to take out this swoop. We'll see how it goes for ch0msky. Perfect.
ch0msky getting it as well.
Yeah, no problem for either of the runners. Both very seasoned veterans. And now, after the Pokey fight's going to be headed to grab the Super Hammer. Hopefully, at least one of them gets the 6 swag hammer on the chest. But yeah, the Super Hammer... Oh yeah, this dumb puzzle that is, I don't know, made for 2-year-olds, apparently. They're going to solve that just by going on the switches. Anyway, the Super Hammer is the first hammer upgrade that they're going to be getting. There are 2 upgrades to the hammer and 2 upgrades to the boots that we're going to be seeing throughout the run. And so that will increase the damage of the hammer, which is not as important. And also the kind of blocks that the hammer can break through. So these silver blocks can be broken by the Super Hammer, and they will need that to progress in the story. Let's see if ch0msky gets the swag hammer on the chest.
And he does.
All right, and he does. I am a super big fan of that swag hammer. So just to explain, when you're doing certain actions like entering a loading zone or opening certain chests like that, or sometimes in between cutscenes kind of, there's sometimes one frame where you can do an action, like spinning, jumping, or hammering. And that chest opening is one of those moments. It's kind of a weird chest. The timing is different than you would expect for a swag hammer, but so we call that swag hammering or swag spinning. And I'm sure ch0msky will do a few more of those throughout the run, especially through loading zones. So this is where they're eating the whack-a-bump to restore fully their FP. They don't really need the HP, but they do need the FP to just breeze through these chomps with Bombette's bomb and power bomb abilities. And the rest of the dungeon is just going to be getting these stones and fighting these chomps until we get to the boss. So we will check in, I guess, after Toot and Koopa when they grab the Chapter 2 card and see where they stand in relation to each other. Be interesting to see how much time one runner has kind of made or lost over the other in this dungeon. And ch0msky's movement looking very clean in the ruins so far. I have not noticed anything really bad in his movement. So, we'll potentially see if he's made up a little bit of time at the end of Chapter 2. Both runners kind of having a little trouble with that lock. That lock is always kind of terrible.
Yeah, a lot of the locks in this dungeon and a couple of the other a couple of the other chapters seem to be pretty consistently terrible. So
Yeah, they aren't the best. They kind of have some weird detection for standing in front of them to open them. So, Glower finishing the puzzle of the dungeon, that Chomp statue puzzle, getting the 3 stones and putting them in the right spot, and getting a little caught on the wall there. Gonna go fight Toot and Koopa, now the boss of Chapter 2. Not a very difficult boss, but there is a couple weird things about this fight that hopefully won't screw Glower up. For one, there's something that I don't know if it's just perception or if it's an actual thing. There seems to be an abnormal amount of lag in this fight. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just imagining things, but I know a few runners have talked about that. So he also brings out a Chomp, which stands in front of him for this fight, and that will mess up their jump timing. So they'll have to time their quick jumps and action command for jumping to adjust for the Chomp. And the menuing. They have to move their menu cursor past the Chomp first. They definitely do not want to accidentally attack the Chomp. That will definitely cost them a lot of time. Glower not looking like he's having trouble with it. And he will get the last shell shot and be out of that fight. So we'll check on his Chapter 2 card time in just a second here. Does not look like ch0msky's gonna have any trouble either with this fight. And yeah, we are just past the hour mark of this run, so we're about a quarter, more than a quarter through the run. And ch0msky finishing the fight, no problem for either of the runners.
$101.40 is the
So
chapter 2 time.
101.40, yeah, for Glower, and we will see what ch0msky's time is looking like. It looks like he might have gained a little bit of time. Hard to say. These card cutscenes are always longer than I think.
Yeah, it looks like he saved about 3 seconds from the last time we checked his time.
3 or 4 seconds. So 24-second difference for both of them. Again, a little bit of time lost to ch0msky's gonna have to get the seed on the way back in Toad Town. So that'll probably even it out to about 30 seconds, which is, not much really in the course of this glitchless run. Definitely can be made up on 1 or 2 fights depending on the RNG. So this is the second Peach cutscene that they can actually do anything during. I'm just going to be going to the library of Peach's Castle, sneaking around a little bit, getting some info. That's kind of the story. And Twink will pass the info along to Mario, and that's how you're supposed to know where to go. But basically serve no purpose during the speedrun.
Glower sneaking through the library. This is always an awkward place to lose time because it's really simple to avoid doing that, but sometimes if you cut a little bit too close, the Koopa Trolls will pick you up and they'll take you back to your room, and then you gotta do the whole segment again.
Yeah, not fun to get caught there, so I didn't quite see, but probably both runners taking it a little safer than they normally would. And not much to say as they go back on their way to Toad Town. They're going to be picking up a Thunder Rage in the desert to use on Junior Troopa the next time we see him. And then, they're just going to be getting the seed on Mount Rugged. It's preparing to enter Chapter 6 down the line. And just headed back to Toad Town to go to the Forever Forest, where they will head to Boo's Mansion. And that will kind of be the start of Chapter 3. So we'll see how their movement is pretty much from here to starting the Forever Forest, because that's where probably they'll make up most of their time if ch0msky does make up time.
Yeah, Forever Forest has really high potential for encounters. Just the way the fuzzies move is not always the easiest thing to predict, and we'll see if they both get encounterless forests there.
Yeah, Forest, really not too bad for especially runners of this caliber. They just have to dodge a few encounters, and there is some interesting movement tech that we'll point out in the forest, just because of the way it's shaped. Well, the key differences in this race so far, ch0msky actually got a fuzzy encounter on the fuzzy game, and had to kind of finish that fight, and then got one Fright Jar fail in Chapter 1, which Glower had neither of those. So right now it's looking like maybe a 30-second difference between the runners, after you account for ch0msky needing to grab the Toad Town seed when he goes back. At the end of Chapter 2 is about 24 seconds, so a little bit of time loss for that.
Although Glower did get second try speedy spin, which saved ch0msky a little bit of time.
Yeah, Glower did get second try speedy spin. Don't know how I forgot about that. So Glower's now headed back to Toad Town, and ch0msky is just trying to save all the time he can from movement. And he is doing that so far. He did save about 4 seconds in the Chapter 2 dungeon. So yeah, we'll see ch0msky grab the seed. Glower is going to watch this cutscene and go into the forest, and that will be the start of Chapter 3. And there is one more seed they need to grab in the forest, and then one in Chapter 5 on Lava Lava Island, before they can enter Chapter 6. So very, very early preparation for a very late chapter.
So the movement that we see in the forest is a lot of spin canceling off of the weird geometry in the forest. Since every room in the forest is a pretty close approximation of circular, that means there's a lot of odd angles that you can spin into and then ricochet off of, basically. So what we're going to see Glower and ch0msky both doing here are really utilizing those spin cancels pretty heavily to get through these rooms relatively unscathed and also a lot quicker than otherwise might be possible.
Oh, I don't know if I said this, but also, quick reminder, everyone should hydrate themselves, drink plenty of water. Take a drink right now if you haven't in a while, because we are here for another 2.5+ hours, so
Thanks for the reminder.
Stay healthy, everyone.
Everyone should keep a nice, refreshing beverage with them at all times.
For sure, for sure. Glower got through there without much of a problem. See if ch0msky can dodge these few encounters that he has left. This piranha is pretty easy to avoid. The fuzzies are a little bit harder, in my opinion.
Although ch0msky generally does pretty good at avoiding the fuzzies in the forest.
Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but I don't expect. Yeah, so he'll get through there just fine. Gonna also head to the mansion with Glower. So Glitchless is about 3 hours and 44 minutes is the world record on the N64, and any percent in general is just 1 hour and 40 minutes.
1 hour 39.
Approximately. Yeah, 142 on N64.
That's true. Now we see Glower entering another section of RNG, and again, this isn't a bunch of time, but how many rotations these boos make, how long it is until the boo on top drops the record is actually within a set of random values. So
yeah, seems pretty average there for Glower, but a quick boo to get the record from. Very close to Mario. Not the quickest record drop for ch0msky. But again, a quick boo, the same boo. And they'll both have the record. Glower has already played the minigame and gotten the weight to advance to the next part of the mansion.
So one of the interesting things about the record minigame, I suppose the second record minigame where you're actually playing the record, is the boo that comes over has a tendency to sometimes stop short. And newer runners, not so much ch0msky and Glower, but newer runners often, myself included, have kind of gotten caught by that. And you wind up having to play the record game twice, which, while not the worst thing in the world, is not as fast as it could be.
Yeah. Kesha, both are probably a decent amount behind their PBs. I mean, Glower got second try speedy spin, and ch0msky is... I mean, ch0msky had the fuzzy encounter, got a fright jar fail. He's making up a little bit of time, though, so... But I don't think either of these runners at such a high level expected to... You know, came in with the expectation of PB. And Compound would beg to differ. He thinks that having to redo the record playing minigame is the worst thing in the world. Glower jumping off the chair.
No, that's what I call a swag jump.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess we'll point out that that's our first boot upgrade. Our second tier of boots, I guess. The super boots, which allows us to do the spin jump you're seeing. Now they break through the panels right here on Glower's screen. So that's the out of battle ability of the boots. The ultra boots have a similar ability. But they also increase our jump power by 1, which is incredibly useful. So since a lot of our highly damaging attacks for single enemies are jumps, that's really useful to have that extra attack power, and combining it with some other badges is going to be very useful for taking care of enemies later on.
Alright, Glower picking up our fourth partner here, Bo, the Boo Princess, I guess. Her special ability is that she turns you actually invisible, and this has a multitude of uses both in and out of combat. We'll see it used most frequently in combat, but there's actually a mandatory story trigger outside of combat that requires Bo to help you through it by turning you invisible. So,
yeah, I believe we use her out of battle ability twice. One for a story required and then one in Chapter 8.
That's true. Once in Chapter 8, and also we use her to enter Chapter 4.
That's true. So 2 story required instances. I guess 3 technically, because the one in Chapter 8 we have to do.
Yeah.
But there are 3 instances of using her out of battle ability in this run.
Yeah, I suppose she is the 5th partner. I just forgot how to count.
Yeah, she is the 5th partner, which throws you off because you expect that Chapter 3 does not give you the 5th partner. But she is the 5th.
I dropped out of kindergarten. I didn't learn how to count past 4.
It's okay. Yeah, I think you're actually supposed to use her in Chapter 4 to get through one of the sections, but we don't even go there. So
Yeah, we're able to skip that just with the use of out-of-game knowledge. It's a little metagamey, but it's not a glitch.
a little bit of cheating, if you ask me.
Cheating in my speedrun? Glitchless picking up the first repel gel of the game. Repel gel allows you to temporarily become invisible for 2 turns without the use of a partner. So you take absolutely no damage, things just phase through you. And there's really 2 fights where those are going to be useful. This one will be used in Chapter 4 for the end boss there, and the next ones that we pick up will be used for the final Bowser fight in Chapter 8.
Yeah, very useful item, especially for Final Bowser. Would be extremely tough to route Final Bowser without the repel gel.
And Glower entering Tub of Love's castle at 1:16:18. And getting first struck on purpose by this clubber, one of the things that we want to happen in Chapter 3 is to ensure that we have peril for the boss. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to, well, encounter these guys right here.
I believe it saves a few frames if you block that last attack. Just in animation frames, pretty much. The fact that he has 2 health doesn't matter. He's going to take hazard damage later. And in Thousand Year Door, hazard damage would actually kill you at 1 health, I believe. But in this game, it doesn't actually matter whether you're at 1 health or 2 health. You won't die from the hazard.
And if my calculations are right, ch0msky's about 26 seconds behind Glower at this point, so saving a little more time. Glower's re-entry at 32, 17:32. And ch0msky's re-entry at 17:58, so just about 26 seconds.
Yeah, so still saving time with his movement, ch0msky is. So I'll be interested to see how much time he does save to movement. He's already saved 10 seconds in just these 2 chapters, so without much else being different. So definitely not the hardest comeback in the world for ch0msky. We'll see if it happens.
And we just
the stars align.
No, and we just saw Glower do something pretty neat. We're going to see ch0msky do it right here as well. But with pretty precise movement, you're actually able to get across this entire spike room without the use of bow.
He might actually make the swag cycle.
Just missed it.
He missed. Yeah. But jumping back onto the chest, onto the spikes to get back to the beginning of the room pretty quickly. And that's why they could afford to take 1 less damage, because they would take that hazard damage. And something Glower did that we didn't get to touch on just now, the non-glitch, where you kind of use paracarry to get to. Normally, you're supposed to get on top of that drawer by pulling out another drawer, but you can actually do that weird thing with paracarry and get a little bit of height off the corner of the drawer. and get onto the bed early. Well, not early, but without the use of that extra height. And that is, I guess, not a glitch. It's one of the only contentious, I guess, parts of Glitchless. It's not. This game isn't really something like Ocarina of Time, where there's a lot of contentious parts of Glitchless. We have a pretty clear-cut run.
Other than the trick there that Glower didn't go for, where you overlap the Yaki cutscene with the Tubba Blubba cutscene.
Yeah. The task strat that is not formally defined as a glitch or not, but no one really cares.
I care.
I know you care. Someday maybe we'll care. Anyway, I don't know if we mentioned, but they picked up the Mega Rush badge in that room with the Parakarry bed thing, in that hidden room that probably a lot of people didn't know about as kids. But Mega Rush is
hidden off on the side for sure.
Yeah. Mega Rush is a very useful badge for this run. Basically, any run that goes to Chapter 3 will get Mega Rush, so Glitchless obviously does. And what Mega Rush does is increases Mario's attack power by 4 when he's in peril, which is 1 HP. So that's why we wanted 1 HP for peril. And that is super useful, especially when combined with the Power Bounce badge we picked up in Chapter 1, which does multiple badges. Is it just super jumping in Mario RPG? I'm not too familiar with it, but it's one of those attacks where you just bounce on enemies multiple times by hitting the action command.
Yeah, I'm actually not familiar with Mario RPG, but Power Bounce winds up being one of the most broken badges in the game when coupled with Mega Rush, because it allows you to just do damage beyond anything that should have been reasonably possible.
Yeah, normally your attack power is sort of bottomed out at 1, so you'll do like 2, 1, 1, 1 on every bounce. But with Mega Rush, it's actually...
Glower getting tech skip there.
Yeah. With Mega Rush, it's actually different. You can go from like 6, 5, 4, so it's super useful to do just insane amounts of damage, and we'll see that employed on a lot of bosses and enemies. Mostly bosses. And we'll talk about Power Bounce caps in just a second, but see if ch0msky gets Textless, and hopefully he gets Textless. A little bit of time loss he doesn't want. Very early text there.
That was incredibly early.
That was really early. No chance of text skip there. So text skip in that room is kind of an RNG thing. I think it's almost entirely RNG. I don't know if anyone's really looked into it, but depending on when the text box shows up and how quickly you get out of the room, kind of, you can get through that room without Tubba Blubba's text box appearing there. ch0msky did not get it. He got a really early text box, and Glower did actually get it. So.
Very minor time differential, all things considered, though. Got Glower entering the fight with Tubba Blubba's heart.
So we'll talk about caps. He's gonna power bounce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He gets the 6 cap, so he didn't even get capped. So on strong enemies and bosses, the game decides to have a random cap on how many power bounces you can do. I think in Mario RPG it's uncapped, so you can go for like 100, bounces on all enemies. But on bosses, they decided to kind of balance it out in this game, in that there's an interval there's like a range of number of bounces you can get capped at. And it's kind of different for like different enemies. But for most bosses, it's between like 3 and 7. I think technically you can go up to 101, but after 7, the chances are ludicrous to get that number of bounces on most bosses. So that actually does change the fights a little bit, depending on how many bounces you get.
Both Glower and ch0msky getting the perfect fight, though. They both start with the 6 and end with the 4.
Yep, so both fights go really well. That fight's not too bad with the caps, but we will see a few fights later on where caps really do matter, or the fight changes a little bit with different caps.
And Glower opting for BP increase on this level up. BP is something we get infrequently throughout the run, but it's important to ensure that we can pick up all the badges that we need. to make sure the rest of the game goes smoothly.
Yeah, this BP upgrade in particular is in preparation for the next stretch of the run where we want to have Power Jump, Power Bounce, Mega Rush, and Speedy Spin equipped. We actually, if you noticed, unequipped Speedy Spin to make room for, or we unequipped Power Jump too, to make room for Power Bounce and Mega Rush. But we, of course, do want all those badges on. We definitely want Speedy Spin on for the movement. And Glower equipping it there, as you see. So that's why that BP upgrade is important. And I missed what his card time was, but 06, 125.06. And we'll see what ch0msky's is. Glower opting to save now on these menus. I forget ch0msky doesn't equip before the card. It's about an 18-second difference, so that menu is not that long. So honestly, it's probably 20 to 22 seconds. So pretty close now. I mean, that's within like a lava piranha fight, pretty much. If the lava piranha boss goes differently for both the runners.
And don't forget, Chapter 4 has its own good share of RNG as well.
Right, yeah.
We've got people in chat talking about Lantern Ghost, but even if Lantern Ghost goes perfectly for both runners, the final boss has the opportunity to just do some really slow attacks twice in a row, which I think combined loses about 8 seconds. So, one runner getting better RNG there could really tighten the race up.
ch0msky is not using splits. He is definitely well behind his PB. I would imagine.
Very likely. What we saw Glower do here as well, and
what ch0msky is about to do,
is answer some of Bowser's questions. And it's important to answer these in just the right way, because these actually impact item drops in Chapter 4, which is coming up. Answering something wrong here could put down an enemy or the wrong item, which totally screws up the routing. And if we get an enemy, that involves additional XP, which, again, is something we just totally want to avoid. So I think we plop down a Mushroom, a Thunder Rage, and then whatever the first item is. I think it might be a Pokey in a room that we don't ever actually see in the run. So moving on, we've got Glower going back into Forever Forest. The next thing that we're going to see here is another fight with our friend Junior Troopa. This is actually a relatively easy fight. It's very well telegraphed, very well routed, but we still want to make sure that we're getting into peril here. And this is not the first use of Mega Rush that we'll see. We saw that earlier on Tumble Blubber's Heart. But by getting into peril on this fight here and getting a 5-cap power bounce, you make very quick work of Junior Troopa. Glower getting that first block, no problem. And he gets his 5 bounce without an issue, and the shell shot here will finish the fight. Glower finishing that fight just around 128.30. ch0msky just about 29 seconds behind at this point.
And since we kind of just ended Chapter 3, about to start Chapter 4, remind everyone once again, stay hydrated, take a drink of water.
Now,
So
in
this
order
is
to
the
enter,
second use of bow that I forgot about.
yeah, this is how we enter Chapter 4. Which I think I may have mentioned this before, but you know what? As a kid, I had the guide. I'm not sure how casually you were to figure this out, because as far as I know, it's never properly explained to you, but it's also been a very long time since I've played this game in the only language I speak.
Cammy Koopa about to put this mushroom here. We saw Glower answer in the Peach cutscene.
And of course, if you want to learn how to speedrun Paper Mario, the answer is just learn Japanese.
Exactly. It's a rigorous training program we have in the Paper Mario Discord. Learning Japanese in about a month, so super accelerated program. No, but actually, if you are interested in this game, check out the Discord. It's linked to on the speedrun.com page, speedrun.com/pmario. And I missed it. I don't know if Glower actually ate the mushroom. I don't know if he's going to.
No, he skipped
It might
it
be.
entirely.
Oh, he did. Okay. Yeah, I don't think he'll have a problem, but we'll point it out why in a second here.
Yeah, both Glower and ch0msky choosing to bypass the mushroom. It's recommended for newer runners, but if you're seasoned like these two are, it's actually pretty trivial to skip. The reason that you want to eat it is an encounter that we'll see coming up in a couple of minutes here. And Glower picking up a Volt Shroom, which we'll see use of later, as well as the toy train, which is going to allow him to access the rest of Chapter 4.
I think many a runner have forgotten to place the train in before re-entering the toy box. That's a good 10-second time loss or something like that.
Yeah, that one is certainly no fun.
And we're about to see Glower head to the pink station, and there's an encounter coming up after he gets through the one of these rooms. There's actually a Sky Guy, which is a flying Shy Guy, on using balloons to fly, I guess. And he can actually unavoidably first strike you. And since we're in peril, that would be really bad. Fortunately, there are two options. You can take the mushroom and just eat the mushroom, or you can do this lure that Glower did right there. Didn't look like much, but he actually did a very specific movement to lure the Sky Guy away, so he doesn't get that encounter with him. ch0msky messed it up there. That's not good. I don't know really what ch0msky wants to do here.
He's probably just going to go for it. I mean, even if you mess up the lore,
yeah, it is random. He can get lucky, but it's a little nerve-wracking here.
Glower very uncomfortable.
Got by there without the encounter. Yeah, I hope it doesn't go wrong. Right now, Glower is ahead on your right.
Yeah, by approximately 30 seconds.
Okay, and he gets by there. That was very scary for a good 20 seconds.
Yeah, not a perfect lore, but it did allow him to get by. Glower returning the pan to taste tea and getting the cake, which we are now going to feed to a very somewhat rotund Shy Guy.
Everyone's favorite Shy Guy. Well, most people probably. There aren't many shy guys with personalities in this game. It's just gourmet guy, and then I guess there's general guy, but he's kind of the villain. So
No, but General Guy is very charismatic, you must say,
yeah, I guess so.
with all his
I
legions
mean,
of followers.
certainly the pyro guy is not our favorite.
No, certainly not. And for those of you who neither read Japanese nor understand context clues, the Shy Guy thinks the cake is delicious. It is much too delicious. Exceedingly delicious, even.
So Glower's gonna try and slide by this pyro guy here after this. No problem. That guy is super fast. So if you're not ready for it, he will just snipe you, and you can do a well-timed spin to get by him. Alright, so all that was to hit the pink station switch and flip over this track so we can get the green station. Green station normally is supposed to have a puzzle. You're supposed to get the book from... Is it the book from Gourmet? Is it this book from Gourmet Guy? I think it is.
I think that's the recipe book, I think.
No, I think that's the textbook or something. Whatever it is. You're supposed to get a book, give it to a guy in Toad Town. He'll tell you the answer to this puzzle that Glover did, but if we just know the puzzle, there is absolutely no need for all of that.
Yeah, just skip that whole segment with some metagame knowledge.
And here we are at Red Station. This is tough part of Chapter 4. We'll see if they get good cycles here. Oh, saving. Very good idea from Glover to save.
Taking
Hopefully
the safety save there.
well. In this Bolt Room for a fight in just a second here. Gonna go for a quick cycle here. Doesn't get it. So you can actually make it to this platform before it rises far enough up, and I forget how much time it's like 3 seconds, 3 to 5 seconds to get that quick cycle. And there's another cycle that we call God Cycle on the way back, which is very difficult. So we'll see if one of them can get it.
Yeah, now Glower entering the Lantern Ghost fight, which is kind of scary. This is the first point in the game where RNG can actually cause you to lose a life shroom.
And ch0msky nearly got the quick cycle there, but just missed it.
And for our Goombario fanatics, he makes his triumphant...
Goombario fans, compound avert your eyes, but Goombario's going to head bonk twice on this lantern to open it up, and we can then power bounce.
Hopefully 5 times.
You want a 5 and a 4 cap. Alright, so Glower, no problem, gets the 5 bounce, and he'll go for just a 4 next time. The minimum cap you can get on this fight is 4, and a double 4 cap is actually really bad. That's a death. So they don't want to take that. And we'll see if ch0msky gets the 5 bounce. Alright, perfect.
They're getting the 5 bounces.
Both of them getting the 5 bounce first. Nothing to worry about for the next bounce. Just need to do 4 bounces and then he is out of there. And getting the 6th partner, Watt, allows us to light up unlit areas like the room we're in right now. And also has really good, well, I say really good, but not totally useful for the route anymore, but pretty good battle abilities. So leveling up Watt for the general guy fight, which is we're about to see. Just so we can get that extra damage. Glower not getting God Cycle on the way back. See
So
if
really,
ch0msky gets God Cycle.
he may. Now for time save, all that we really have left here is General Guy, and like I mentioned, General Guy is a scripted fight, but there's a couple points in which you might select a couple of random options. And
Oh, ch0msky got God Cycle.
getting the
Let's
cycle.
go. That's 3 seconds there. That's really tough. Your menuing and movement has to be just super on point. So props to ch0msky for getting that. I think he's gotten that in both of his tournament races so far. So legendary.
He has had great luck with that recently. Absolutely.
And Glower using Watt, so these Shy Guys will blow up the wall to get into this general guy fight. And this fight is pretty scripted. There's not much that can go wrong. Except at the end, there are, well, it's not wrong so much as, you know, more minor time loss, but at this point, they really want every second they can get.
Double bomb versus double lightning does save a...
Yeah, that's about 6 seconds. So there's an attack General Guy can do at the very end of the fight. He does 2 attacks, and he has an option to do either a lightning attack or a bomb attack. And if you get 2 bomb attacks, which I believe it's 60-40, lightning versus bomb. So 2 bomb attacks actually saves 6 seconds over 2 lightning, 3 seconds each. So that's actually pretty major at this point. ch0msky would really love a double bomb right now. Hopefully Glower hits this action command. Perfect.
That is one of the hardest action commands in the game, of course. I think that honor definitely goes to Hurricane.
It's a bit of a tricky timing for that jump action command, though, and if you miss it, there's no backup. So, as far as I know.
Yeah, the timing is very weird with the angle that you approach. This is the first use of Repel Gel that we see in the game. As I mentioned earlier, this allows you to become invisible for 2 turns, which is actually just long enough to beat the crap out of Lantern Guy. Not Lantern Guy, General Guy, excuse me.
Lightning attack for Glower, so not the best, but blocking it as well. Actually making use of 2 of Watt's abilities, one to stun the Shy Guy stack, and the other to attack General Guy. Getting 1 bomb, 1 lightning for Glower. There's 1 bomb for ch0msky. So at minimum, they'll have kind of a tied fight. We'll see what ch0msky gets. Can save 3 seconds on Glower. So not saving any time, not losing any time with a 1 bomb and 1 lightning. So another FP upgrade here, and we'll be out of Chapter 4.
And of course, with the end to Chapter 4, everyone please remember to hydrate. Drink some water, or another beverage of your choice.
Beat me to it.
I'm learning your tricks, Blue.
Yeah, Watt's primary ability, which is Electro Dash, apparently actually pierces all defense, which I was not aware of. Just like Parakarry's Shell Shot ability, which is one of the most useful moves in the game. Watt actually used to be really useful for Final Bowser. I don't know if any routes still really use Watt for Final Bowser. Maybe all cards or something. I'm not too familiar with, but definitely Parakarry is the way to go for a lot of these fights. Unfortunately for Watt fans.
Paracarry's almost unfairly strong.
Yeah, a little broken. We'll be upgrading him to get more attack power and very useful abilities. And they are both on Nintendo 64, the original hardware. Glower typically plays on Wii U, which is the fastest version for this game. But it was kind of agreed that all other runners are doing N64, so a free 2-minute time save for console was not quite fair. An anonymous gifter, thank you for gifting a sub to Mr. Funny Fun, whoever that was.
Yeah, and shout outs to Mr. Funny
appreciated.
Fun for keeping track of all the time. And ch0msky making some pretty risky movement almost into the flashlight of that Koopa Troll. But this is the infamous cake cutscene for Peach. I'd like everyone actually to play along at home. Make sure you got all your ingredients and make sure you got your oven nice and preheated because we're going to be cooking some cake in just under 2 minutes.
Yeah, here's infamous cake baking Peach cutscene. ch0msky's on his way there right now. ch0msky getting around this beam of light, walking through the wall there. Ooh, accidentally grabbed the salt instead of the sugar. So just a little time loss there from Glower. And they do not want to grab the soap. They don't want to grab the cleanser instead of the butter. Gourmet guy will not like a cleanser cake.
Unless that's the route, of course.
Correct. They do not currently wanting to bake an Andy's trademarked soap cake.
Anyway, yes, N64 is required for the Invitational. There are some pretty major differences between the three consoles this game can be run on, with the VCs having varying levels of performance, the N64 being pretty consistent. Wii U is faster in just about every way, but most players do run on N64, so the Invitational is for the N64 popular console.
And the most riveting part of the run, the oven. They're going to be baking the cake, and they want to take it out after 24 seconds, pretty much. I don't think anyone's really sure, but is it 23?
I think. Well, the route has it as 23, but every time I've tried to do 23, it's just shy. So 24 is a safe bet for anyone who doesn't want to risk it. And I'd be surprised if either runner went for the super fast 23, because messing this up means you got to do the whole thing again.
I don't know the exact time, but the game Twink says 30 seconds, so they give you a little leeway around 30 seconds, both earlier and later.
Yeah, this game did come out before clocks were invented.
Up his cake. True, I've heard that.
So, to everyone who has to count time in their head, this game was for you.
Yeah, ch0msky, I believe, uses a stopwatch. Most runners, I think, just do the mental math, kind of look at their timer and see when 24 seconds is up, but ch0msky just says he's more consistent with a stopwatch, so.
And at the end of the day, this game is about what makes you feel the best, so. And Glower's succeeding on the cake, not putting any soap in it, cooking it for just long enough.
We'll see if Gourmet Guy also accepts ch0msky's cake. This is quite a long cutscene, so for runners, I believe ch0msky, I'm not sure about Glower, but for runners who have a clamp, they can kind of clamp down the B button on their controller, and this is a nice comfy bathroom break because this cutscene is pretty long with no inputs.
And both runners getting the umasugiru cake.
Yeah.
Exceedingly delicious.
Yeah, I think it's a 6-second radius around 30 seconds is what I've heard.
We see Twink get a little starstruck from the Star Spirit here. Muscular. Looks like ch0msky's about 24 seconds behind, so saved about 6 seconds from the last time we were taking a look at his time.
Yeah, clamp is like a tool that, I don't know, clamps stuff. Like, we have a joke that it's a task because it's tool assisted.
All right, Glower going for a pretty interesting strat here, where he just slightly misses the early first strike on the Fuzzipede, but by standing in a very particular position, you can actually jump into Fuzzipede's line of movement and encounter him early, and that saves a few seconds over the cycle that he just got.
ch0msky would love to get that right now. Setting up for it. Oh, never mind. Didn't even go for it. So, just choosing to take this jump into Fuzzipede. And this fight is pretty easy. They use a Volt Shroom. And what the Volt Shroom does is not only does a damage when Fuzzipede tries to attack, but also stops. There's a property of Fuzzipede's attack where it takes one of your abilities, items, jump, or hammer. And that would be pretty bad if we wanted to jump, but he takes our jump away. So, but a Volt Shroom just takes care of that, and we can take 3 unblocked hits for 3 damage each and get into peril and just do a quick power bounce.
Now the real question of the night is, will Glower choose to have fun and go for Water Spout?
We'll see. I know ch0msky is definitely going to do it for the people, for the fans.
Saying he's the people's runner?
Glower. Oh no.
There, he did it.
Let's go. The quick spout. So, ultimately, doing it for the fans. ch0msky's probably just mashing on the A button. The maximum possible water spout length. And entering Chapter 5 now, getting to Lava Lava Island for both runners.
Yeah, and honestly, Chapter 5 is where we could probably pretty easily see this lead either disappear or potentially even swap. Chapter 5 has been known to be pretty difficult. You spend a lot of time in peril in the overworld here, and this is some of the trickiest movement in the game with geometry, the really tight hallways, the number of enemies. This could be pretty significant.
Yeah, many of these rooms are really narrow, and some of these Shy Guys and Fuzzies are pretty tough to dodge. So I want to say, these runners are both very well experienced in the jungle. Probably will not have too much of a problem, but don't want to say that too early for sure. So just ignoring Colorado's pleas for help here. You can just run by him without having to kill the Fuzzy or the Shy Guy.
And Glower going for a safety save here. Really not a bad idea. Like I mentioned, it's pretty trivial to lose a bunch of time or even die here.
Yeah, definitely a good idea to save before the jungle. ch0msky probably will not, but we'll see. As expected. So saving a little bit of time from not having to save. But if something goes catastrophically wrong in the jungle, we'll see what happens. He is not going to have a very close save. Fortunately, I don't think anything will go that wrong. Maybe, at worst, he'll lose a life shroom, but he does have a life shroom. So, Glower doing a little lure to get around the Shy Guy, no problem. And getting Power Quake very useful badge for doing lots of damage, especially with the extra peril damage.
And what we're going to see Glower come up on in just a few seconds is, it's not very risky as long as you know what you're doing, but if you try to go through this too quickly, you're not really paying attention.
Oh, ch0msky got an encounter.
Ooh.
Not a first strike. He'll be able to run away. But yeah, the Shy Guy kind of had a weird pattern. I've never seen it go that far down. And I'm sure ch0msky wasn't really expecting that, but so that's like 12 seconds, 10 seconds-ish, 10 to 12 seconds for that encounter. So not what ch0msky wants, but definitely not as bad as losing a life shroom. Yeah, so during Chapter 5, see what the EXP is like. Glower, without any Fright Jar fails, is going to get 99 EXP when he's done with... Oh, Glower getting that encounter.
Glower getting an encounter.
So it's evening out. Oh, man. Wow. And able to run away, though, but still, that encounter kind of evens things out. So both with one encounter. Yeah, so ch0msky is going to level up on one of the piranha fights in the deep jungle. He'll level up on that fight, but that's pretty normal. If you get a Fright Jar fail, you will level up there. Glower will have 99 EXP there, just barely not leveling up, so...
ch0msky avoiding the encounter, so both runners should be roughly where they were positioned before.
Yeah, but still the hardest room yet to come. Coming up on Glower's side. They're going to grab a Fright Jar from one of the trees for moles. It's a Chapter 6 fight. So we'll see that in 20 minutes, I guess. And then Glower's going to go through what I consider the hardest room in the jungle. He's going to try and lure this Shy Guy off the bridge and get around him.
It's a very clean lure from Glower.
Yeah.
But then there's this fuzzy on the bridge here, which is known to troll some people.
Yeah, no problem for Glower. Switching to Bombette, there's an non-glitch, I guess. He's going to first strike. Oh, nice ground pound. Some swag there. So this fight is normally a walk-in cutscene trigger. And it's supposed to be like a mini boss battle, and you can't run from it normally. But with that first strike, which is allowed in Glitchless, some people kind of think of it as a glitch. You can actually first strike them, and it'll be treated like a normal encounter. So that there's some glitchy properties, but it was ultimately decided that it should be allowed in Glitchless, I guess.
Yeah, interestingly, patched out of the US release.
Not totally.
Not totally?
There are some quirks with the English release, but you can still do the you can still do the first strike.
That was mistaken.
And yeah, you can run from that fight if you first strike it, which you're not supposed to be able to run from it normally. So that's one of the things that triggered the thinking of maybe this should be treated as a glitch.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking of something else, but Glower now entering the second half of the jungle. We're off to meet Raphael the Raven and his lovely posse, who will help Mario enter the volcano, which, I don't know. Personally, I don't think it's as hard as the overworld, but I know there's a lot of points where you can take damage and just kind of lose some time casually in the volcano.
So Glower about to enter the section of the jungle that we call the deep jungle. It looks a little different, and it's not too long. Got this water block puzzle, and then just a fight with some piranhas. And we obviously know the best way to do this puzzle, so Glower's just going to get through this.
Preemptively there.
Yeah, this is Glower's gonna end up with 99 experience at the end of this fight, so he will be very close to leveling up.
And ch0msky will get the early level up, so timing is going to be a little weird to keep track of.
Glower also got a fire flower there. So these guys can drop fire flowers, and that's just an unfortunate RNG thing. You want to try and avoid them if you can, but sometimes they just kind of land on you.
Yeah, it does lose a couple seconds to the pickup, but also it's something that they'll have to menu around. So if he accidentally uses the wrong item, that could be problematic later.
So ch0msky, opportunity to make up a little bit of time here. Glower also had a mess up on that partner swap there. So we'll see what they are at Enter Volcano, and see how their times compare. With both of them getting an encounter in the jungle, should kind of even out, and we'll see probably about a 20 to 25 second difference if I'm guessing correctly. Oh, did he? I missed that. So apparently ch0msky also got a fire flower drop, but I guess it was in a good spot, or he was able to avoid it.
Yeah, his went up to the upright. He did not pick it up.
Glower getting these ravens, Raphael and his children. I don't know what these are, but shout outs to the raven feet. Just putting that in your head. And he's gonna get the ultra stone from Raphael, which allows us to ultra rank our partners using the upgrade blocks, which is one rank beyond the super upgrades. And that is very useful for Paracarry and Lackluster, which is a partner we'll be seeing later. ch0msky has not saved, as far as I'm aware. Did he save before Lantern Ghost? I wasn't looking.
He did not.
Alright, well, he's living on the edge a little.
But just trying to save time wherever he
can. Trying to make up that little bit of time that he can to Glower by not saving. Glower entering at high 03:45, so we'll see what ch0msky's time is like.
So what we're going to see Glower attempt here is a quick lava cycle. By immediately holding B and spinning and jumping pretty precisely, you're able to actually jump over these platforms in such a way which you get to one of the moving ones just before it leaves, just like he just did. And this saves a considerable amount of time. Missing that
15 seconds for this cycle. So hopefully ch0msky gets it. They're about 25 seconds separated on entering the volcano. Not a whole lot of time to lose in the volcano until the boss. Well, we'll Okay, ch0msky looking like he's gonna get that cycle. Okay, a little close at the end there, but both getting it, so that's about even. And picking up this life stream in this room for Glower, doing the puzzle. So, like I was saying, not a lot of time to lose in Volcano, except for that early cycle and the Lava Piranha boss fight, which could... it's all up to RNG, and they could lose, I think, another 15 seconds for a 6 gap.
Yeah, it's a very significant amount of time. Really, from this point on, every bit of RNG, we're looking at huge blocks of time, especially towards the end of the game. But we are really starting here. This is what we're getting into, double digits of time saved just for things that bosses might do. But as far as movement goes, the inside of the volcano is very nice. There's so many ledges, there's so many weird angles. A lot of your spins get canceled, not all by jumping, so it's very easy to go pretty quickly through a lot of these hallways.
And we'll be seeing a second upgrade for Paracarry. First upgraded him in the Dry Ruins at that upgrade block. And now we have the Ultra Stone, so we can Ultra rank Paracarry. Get the fourth move called Air Raid, which attacks all the enemies on screen and does a considerable amount of damage, so that's really useful for several fights.
A very strong attack indeed. We're now entering the Indiana Jones room. Relatively simple, but it just goes to show you that you can actually move so fast in this game the camera fails to keep up.
Yeah, some rooms the camera's a little weird for one reason or another.
So, Glower intentionally hitting these fire bars to gain some eye.
He was starting to jump over them, which if you jump over them enough, like we saw in Chapter 1, they give coins. I'm sure he stopped early because the coins would cause a considerable amount of lag. But he had to kill time anyway to wait for this platform. So.
Look, he made it to the other side of the block too. That's
yeah.
That's pretty tough. That's pretty tough. ch0msky here still has 10 HP, so he may not even need to hit the heart block.
Yeah, he does not need to hit the heart block. He took care not to take any extra damage in the volcano, so he's going to be at max health for the Lava Piranha fight. Glower will have to hit the heart block. It's not huge, not really a huge time loss, but Glower is going to go for... missing his spin into the loading zone there. He's going to go for a cutscene overlap here, and he gets it. So Colorado's going to start talking while the heart block animation is playing. So it's going to save a little bit of time from having to watch both of those cutscenes. And definitely going to save before Lava Piranha. Glower taking all these safety saves.
Yeah, Lava Piranha has a very tough block to make.
Yeah, and ch0msky, okay. ch0msky has to watch this cutscene. You can actually make it down these stairs without Colorado talking, but you'll actually soft lock if you don't watch that cutscene.
ch0msky not saving again, and also saving a little bit of time by not having to move all the way to the heart block.
Yep.
So we've got both runners entering Lava Piranha at roughly the same time.
Yeah. And we'll point out they're looking for a 6 cap on the second phase of this fight, which is like 15-20 seconds of time save if they get it. So, Glower missing the first block. That's not good.
Yeah, that's a little tight. Missing the second block means he has to use a life shroom, and that loses about 10 seconds. No.
Oh, plus he'll need to get back in peril. So hopefully he blocks this. Okay, he gets the block. ch0msky hopefully gets this one. Okay, ch0msky gets the first one, so no need to worry about the second one. They want to unblock one and block the other.
Making everyone scared.
4 bounce here. And so Glower will go into phase 2, and on phase 2, They actually want a 6 bounce, and it's a 35% chance, I believe, for a 6 bounce. And we'll see if they get it. It saves about 15 seconds because they will not need to watch a cutscene. Okay, well,
Glower getting the
Glower
5
got
cap.
a 5 cap. That's like kind of one of the worst because like the game is like teasing you pretty much. You think you're about to get it. We'll see if ch0msky gets it because that cutscene with Colorado is what you would skip if you got a 6 cap.
Also getting
ch0msky
the 5
also
cap.
getting a 5 cap, so not gonna save any time. Switch to combat, watch the Colorado cutscene, and dispatch with the boss in another turn. And yeah, ch0msky upgrades or does his badge equips pretty early. Glower, I think, did them shortly before the fight. Glower leveling up BP. BP is useful because they're going to need to equip a lot of badges coming out of the volcano. ch0msky leveled up early because of some experience differences, but also upgraded BP at that point.
And imglower chapter 5 time at just 2:11. 2:11 on the dot.
2:11 flat, so
makes the
easy
math nice
comparison for ch0msky. Yeah. Oh wow. This is looking much closer.
Significant
Hold on.
time save.
15 seconds?
16 seconds behind.
16 seconds-ish.
Down from 31 at the beginning of chapter 5.
Is really making strides. He is 25? I think it was 25 difference. 25 seconds difference.
It's 25
entering
to
the
30.
volcano.
Yeah, it was
It was at 25 seconds at enter volcano, so that hard block and I'm not sure what else happens. ch0msky is just making up a lot of time. Yeah, definitely the ch0msky comeback coming up here.
Yeah, this is
a little early to say
crazy
anything, but he is really coming back.
But yeah, I mean, after chapter 1, after how rough that was, we've gone from over a minute behind, and I mean, with the exception of Glower getting second try speedy spin, this has just been a case of ch0msky really playing out of his mind to make up all this time.
I guess he lost the time earlier to leveling up before the volcano, so that's kind of where it came in. He didn't have to save and he didn't have to hit the hard block, so there's your time save, I guess. And just, I think he had overall just really good movement throughout the volcano.
And with the end of chapter 5, everyone, please remember to stay hydrated.
ch0msky was not at worst 31 seconds behind. ch0msky was about a minute behind at the end of chapter 1. It was like 56 seconds, I think. And yeah, a lot of that was due to first try speedy spin, but he's absolutely playing out of his mind to take this comeback.
So this next Peach cutscene is, if I'm not mistaken, this is the quiz show. So pretty.
Yeah, they all kind of blend together. It's the quiz.
Yeah, this one's pretty unexciting. It's gonna be Peach answering 10 questions incorrectly, or
yeah.
sorry, 9 questions incorrectly.
Well, 9 questions.
Sorry, 9 questions with the first answer and then one with the second answer.
I forget how many you actually answer correctly, but they are gonna need to answer number 2 for the last question because if they answer number 1 for all the questions, they will win the quiz game, and they don't want to win. They just want to get it over with.
Yeah, winning, ironically, is actually very slow. Losing, you still get your consolation prize, which is required to complete the game.
Yeah,
but
ultimately, the result is that no one wins. So.
Yeah, but there's really not a whole lot to talk about, honestly, during the quiz show. It's going to be a lot of button mashing, so I'd just like to take this time to thank GSA for once again hosting a Paper Mario tourney. This is, I think, probably the first time something like this has happened, and the amount of support that we've had for this whole tourney is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, shout outs to GSA.
Really
shout outs to being able to put this on and show off Paper Mario. Super cool speed game, super cool game. We're super excited, especially for these last few races. Going to be super intense, as we're seeing right now. This comeback is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, huge thanks to GSA, huge thanks to our runners, of course. Thanks to the rest of the Paper Mario community coming out and supporting us, and of course everyone else as well who's here to check us out. The Paper Mario community is relatively small, but we're always always happy to see more people interested in watching something like this. So really
Yeah,
couldn't
and
do it without all of you.
yeah, see the rest of the bracket. We got a few more matches left. We got the semifinals, finals, and then a bronze match. So you can check out !bracket to check that out. Also, check out the other GSA events, schedule to see when those are going on. We got Mario 64, Mario Odyssey, Celeste, if I'm not mistaken, all going on right now. And also check the VODs if you missed anything that you want to see on GSA's channel. Check the VODs, check out GSA's YouTube, check out all that stuff. It's all really good, comfy stuff. So. Exiting the quiz game finally. I'm not a big fan of the Peach cutscenes. I don't think any of us really are. So grabbing that jam and jelly behind the tree, the hidden jam and jelly, and going to get this vase, yeah, and give it to Colorado for the last magical seed they need to enter Chapter 6. ch0msky's doing his equips right here. Glower will do him right here. And get out Paracarry. And we are all set to take the whale back to Toad Town. While we're doing this cool thing, we can talk to Colorado from kind of a weird angle. I always like seeing it. And important that they remember to do their equips because you do not want to take the whale and they remember to get the seed. You don't want to take the whale to Toad Town and realize you forgot the seed or you forgot your equips or switch to Paracarry or something like that because right after getting off the whale, they have a fight with Junior Troopa, you see here. And it's very important that we have the right badges equipped for this fight.
Yeah, for a lot of new runners, this is a pretty common place to forget to forget to equip badges, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself again, but forgetting to equip badges here is a huge time loss, like well over a minute, I think. Or maybe not well over a minute, but pretty close to it. The moral of the story is don't forget to do things fast. Don't do things slowly, do them quickly.
Yeah, this fight with Junior Troopa is a little challenging casually because he's going to have another upgrade. He's going to be flying like we saw in Chapter 3, but he's also going to have a spike on top of his head. And that's meant to prevent you from doing jump attacks. But actually, we picked up a badge in Chapter 2 called Spike Shield, and they equipped that. So they're going to be able to jump on spiked enemies, which is really just useful for the Junior Troopa fight. They conveniently nerfed him to 20 HP. He's at half health for this fight because he's, I guess, been tuckered out from swimming. And easy two-turn fight with a power jump and a shell shot. One thing you'll see them do, I think ch0msky's going to do this as well. It's faster to not time the first power jump because, I'm sorry. It's faster to not time the first power jump. I got a little confused. Let's see if ch0msky does it. Yeah, ch0msky does it. If you don't time the first power jump, Junior Troopa actually talks a little faster. So, and you don't need that extra damage. So it's just a little bit faster, a little bit of an optimization, as long as you hit the second power jump. Pretty easy fight. Yeah, and also not blocking that attack is pretty important for getting into peril in Chapter 6. So you don't want to, you know, instinctively block that attack.
It looks like ch0msky is just about 20 seconds behind now. And really, at this point, I mean, 20 seconds is, you know, that's one encounter gone wrong. You know, I mean, this is insanely close. And I mean, especially at this level of play.
Yeah, Chapter 6 is a little tricky, super heavy on the movement. I expect the Waterstone split, which is the next major split, coming up. We may see a divide just in movement, although ch0msky's going to have to do a little bit of a different strat on moles. So we'll see how that goes. Moles are RNG based a little bit because you are using a freight jar on them. So just like in Chapter 1, if the freight jar fails, not very ideal, loses some time. So unfortunately not as high of a chance of working as it was in Chapter 1. It's a 50% chance per mole, and there are 2 moles that they need to freight jar. So 25% chance of double success, 25% chance of double fail, and a 50% chance of either, you know, just one failing. So we'll see how it goes for Glower. And he got the front one failed, so he's going to take an attack to get into peril and jump on it to kill. So Glower's going to make sure that he only kills 1 out of the first 3 moles. Well, the first 2 mole encounters. We'll see how it goes for ch0msky. Oh
Ooh,
no, that's really bad. They double fail, and he's going to have to airlift both of these moles. Getting to 100% on both Glower and ch0msky. He's going to take an attack and airlift this mole as well. No. Wait. Oh, okay. Just he's attacking it to make it easier to airlift. I got a little scared there. The enemies are easier to airlift if you damage them first, and the moles are notoriously difficult to airlift in the first place. So definitely a little bit of safety there. And first striking this one to do the same sort of thing, so it's easier to airlift.
Very interesting play by him for sure.
Yeah, so pretty clean backup for ch0msky. He had to airlift all 3 of them just because he had that difficulty in Chapter 1, as well as the double freight jar fail here. So, but the rest of the moles will go well. And this is the next level up when you're leveling up FP.
Glower re-entering the main room at 23:20. So ch0msky taking a bit of a loss of time there, just for the backup, but
yeah, this is quite a close race. 2.5 hours in almost, and ch0msky was in fact behind by about a minute very early on. He's absolutely playing out of his mind, and also just a little bit of help from RNG early on to bring down that lead to about 20 seconds. I think he lost a little bit more time on the moles there, but
about 38
still very
behind.
close.
About 38 seconds behind, but 2 hours in. Like I said, 38 seconds can be gained or lost in a single boss fight at this point, so maybe not in Huff, but
yeah, definitely across the next hour and a half, not a very comfortable lead. Chapter 8 is probably honestly going to be the make or break moment.
yeah, if this
could come down to
differential
Bowser's
stays,
pattern, yeah.
absolutely. And will Chomsky go for the spike jump setup that no one came up with?
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like he's going for it.
I don't think so. I don't know.
He did. He's trying. Oh, and he
Oh,
missed
he went
it.
for it. He had to do it for the people. So he did go for the head nisk jump there, which head nisk goes for. It's apparently more consistent if you. It's a one-frame jump, as far as I'm aware, but apparently it's more consistent if you fall on the spikes prior to crossing. Not usually considered worth it to go for by most runners because it does lose, I don't know how much time.
It
Seems
saves
like
about
10 seconds.
It saves
if
about
you
2 seconds if you
fail
get
it.
it. It does
Yeah,
lose a
so-
bit of time if you fail it, but that's the nature of most of the tricks in Paper Mario. The reason it works is because when you jump into the spikes, your position gets reset to a consistent location, and that location just happens to be a place where you can jump across without, without needing to reposition. And after that, it's just a frame perfect trick.
Unfortunately, Chomsky missing it, so losing a little more time to Glower, but again, still within reason. I mean, even something like 40 seconds could be totally up to RNG in Chapter 8, with the hallway and final Bowser fights. And we'll see. I know Chomsky's Chapter 6 movement is really solid, so we'll see how much time he can make up before the end of the chapter.
And of course, the flower here not giving up the water stone. We gotta go on a fetch quest first. She's very mean. Doesn't like to share.
Yeah, Rosie is pretty stubborn and does have Lily's water stone, and Lily needs the water stone to restore the water back to her pond, something like that. And that's what we need to progress the story. So unfortunately, Rosie doesn't want to give up the water stone because she thinks it's pretty. So we have to find a substitute pretty thing for her. And that's where Glower is going right now to get Posey's Crystal Berry.
And Glower going for some very, very fast, not Glower, Chomsky, excuse me, going for some very, very fast spin cancels in the maze here. At least he always does.
And getting it right there. Pretty spicy.
Getting caught a little bit, but it's alright. This part of Chapter 6 is a lot of back and forth. Glower re-entering the maze. Chomsky leaving the maze. So the movement in that hallway that Chomsky's in right now is pretty interesting because you have to get around the Bazap and the I actually can't remember what that enemy's called in English.
It's either a rough tough or a tough puff.
Okay, I think tough puff sounds right.
I think it's a rough tough.
Maybe.
Or a rough puff. I don't. Who cares?
It's one of those.
It's a cloud. It's a meatball if you're Shaz.
It's one of those silly rhyming names.
Yeah.
But you actually lure it and then immediately spin away from it so it gets confused, and then you spin back at it to get around it. And the Bazap is pretty dangerous. It's got a very fast stinger.
I'm aiming to settle this once and for all.
With the power of Google. I say I forgot it was called in English. I don't actually know what it's called in Japanese either. Never really paid attention to the name whenever I got those encounters.
Okay, so it's like I thought. They're rough puffs, and the ones that spawn in the Huff and Puff fight are tough puffs.
Aha.
So I don't know. I don't know why I thought they were always tough puff or rough toughs. Didn't really make sense, but there you go. There's the answer. I didn't catch what Glower's water stone time was, but they're 40. I think it's 40 in the 40s difference as far as seconds go. And something Glower opted to do, he just picked up a second bubble berry. He needs one. They both need one to advance to the next area. But he's picking up a second and saving. Good.
Yeah, and the save here is pretty critical. When you give the bubble berry to the bubble plant here, it blows a bubble that you jump in to send you off to the other side, but occasionally when you leave the bubble, you can actually get hit by a bazap as soon as you get over there. And that is nigh unavoidable. You can frame perfectly jump over it, but the timing is very, very weird. And Glower narrowly avoiding that.
Yeah, we'll see if either of them or both of them get the top step in this next room, the Sun Tower room. So planting Bombette to blow up this rock, quickly spinning up these steps. Oh, Glower, clean getting the top step. That's pretty tough, honestly. Only ever gotten it once. But Glower making it look absolutely free with his clean movement. We'll see if ch0msky also gets it. See how what we call Beezus treats ch0msky. Alright, very fairly to ch0msky.
And Glower entering the Lackey fight.
Spike.
This is Spike fight. Lackey Lester. We are we actually fight him more or less to convince him to join us. Once you
clean on the top step.
By defeating the enemy that Glower is currently fighting, he actually joins the party.
Yeah, we'll see Lackey join our party. Pretty useful partner. And yes, I did say Beezus because it's a bee, and he's very powerful. And I believe that was a 5 cap. Yeah, so Glower got a 5 cap, or not even a cap. He got 5 bounce on Lackey, which is optimal. He did a skydive to finish it off. Wasted no extra FP. If he had gotten a 4 cap, he would have needed to shell shot and waste a little bit of FP. He would have needed to get a stinky herb from one of the rooms in chapter 6 and eat it. But fortunately, no need for that. ch0msky quickly blocking one of these attacks because he took extra damage from the spikes. So paying attention to his health, good for him.
Very clean block on ch0msky.
Yeah, I honestly think that block is really hard, so.
Yeah, it's tricky because you don't really block too many attacks like that, but also it is relatively... It comes in a little bit slower than it really looks. It's at a weird angle. Kind of has the same properties like the Toot and Koopa fight from chapter 2 in that way.
Yeah, and both runners getting a 5 bounce on Huff, or on Spike. So no need to eat an extra stinky herb.
Glower finishing this relatively simple pillar puzzle. This allows him to get up to the level where the weather machine is, and we're going to destroy it because we're making a political statement and we don't like DARPA. So, no more clouds in the sky. Yeah, we are destroying the weather.
Making use of that shooting star and Paracarry's 4th ability, Air Raid, which we saw on the moles and Lava Piranha. Gonna level up here. This is our first and only HP upgrade. We're going to need that extra XP, or HP, sorry, for the Huff and Puff boss of Chapter 6, as well as pretty much all the bosses that are left. They are pretty strong.
Glower destroying the weather machine. with a handful of well-placed hammer blows. And ch0msky not too far behind. And this is the first of 2 upgrades that we get for Spike. The second one will actually be relatively shortly after this, at the beginning of the next chapter. And Glower now coming up on one of, if not the single longest cutscene in the game that is totally unattended. He is currently dropping down some items in a very particular to help grow this magical beanstalk that will bring us to Huff and Puff, the boss of Chapter 6. This is a perfect time for bathroom breaks, so if anybody, runners included, need to get up and use the lavatory, that would be a perfect time to do so.
Yeah, this is typically the bathroom break of the run for people without clamps, the no clamp gang. And actually right now I will go and grab more water because I am out. So remember to stay hydrated, everyone. Yep. And Headness can hold it down, but not much to say.
Oh, we can see the greenery is healthy. The leaves have budded, the flowers have bloomed. It's a very, very healthy looking plant. Bob Ross would be proud. So what's happening in the story to make us want to fight this boss? Actually, it's been so long since I've played this game in English. Really, the story with all the bosses is more or less they all were in cahoots with Bowser. They wanted more power, and in return, Bowser wanted them to guard the Star Spirit. So we're gonna beat the crap out of Huff because he has something that we want. And Paper Mario is only teaching the best morals to the children. When somebody has something that you want, you take it with force. So that's what we're doing. Glower entering the Huff and Puff fight.
Alright, back just in time.
So one of the badges actually that Glower and ch0msky just picked up right before this fight is a super jump charge. This increases your jump power by 3 every single time that you use it, and it does stack. And this is one of the strongest badges in the game, especially when coupled with Mega Rush. So what we're going to see happen here is both runners are going to stack charges of super jump charge, and then they're going to power bounce the crap out of Huff.
Glower has to hit this block. Okay, good.
That block always scares me. I don't know the time.
Me as well, and it doesn't help that Glower is switching to N64 for this tournament. 4 cap.
4 cap from Glower, so a better cap from ch0msky. Could save a couple of seconds here.
Yeah, optimally you want a 5 cap to just take care of Huff, but all Glower needed was an extra shell shot. So.
And ch0msky going for
6.
6, it looks like.
Oh,
and blocking the wind.
Let's
Very
go.
interesting strategy.
Now he can just let this one go. Does not need to block this attack.
This is my preferred method. And Glower finishing up Chapter 6 at 39-26.
And 5.
Getting the 5
not
cap.
even a 5 bound, or not even a 5 cap. Would have been a
Getting the 5
6
cap.
or more.
I keep saying cap. It's not always a cap. 5 bounce. Excuse me. And yes, on Huff you can actually flick. Final Bowser and Huff, you can flick Power Carry on.
Yep.
Because
Huff and Puff actually decreases in size throughout the fight, depending on how much health he has. But you can actually flick on Shell Shot for any size. So I believe it's a 44-second difference between them right now on the Chapter 6 card.
Yeah, ch0msky picking about 2 seconds on the 5 bounce there. Really starting in this chapter, there's going to be...
Glower messing up the parasol a couple times there, but does not want to get caught. Yeah, Icewind recently found out, quote unquote recently, it was a few months ago, found out that you can just flick on the Shell Shot action command for Huff and Puff. You can also do that on Final Bowser, and apparently Tubba, says Lopez, but yeah. And it doesn't matter how small Huff is, his hitbox is the same. ch0msky going for the safe parasol here, but doesn't mess it up a couple times, unlike Glower. Actually, a little bit faster to use the parasol on the top Koopa there, the one at the door, but riskier because it does have a chance to catch you if you get just too close. But the bottom one is not facing you, so there's a lot more leeway. Yes, none of the guards ever noticed Twink, so fortunately for us.
No, this is
Twink
generally...
is not a liability.
Yeah, thankfully. This is generally considered by most people to be the worst Peach cutscene.
I hate this Peach
up
cutscene.
and down and back and forth.
And there's always like this worry, like you cannot press the B button during this cutscene, during most of this cutscene. Otherwise, you will get caught. You will untransform and either have to do a lot to like back it up or just get caught.
Yeah, just like ch0msky just did before opening the lock.
Oh yeah, he untransformed, but that was intentional since you need to untransform for to transform into the club anyway.
Yeah, interestingly, none of the guards noticed Twink. But as we're going to see in just a moment, Glower does actually get found out. Not by any of the guards, and not because anyone sees Twink in his amazing hiding spot just behind the ledge there, but because Cammy Koopa actually smells some strange perfume that she doesn't recognize.
Yes, smells Princess Peach's perfume, and is a little suspicious of it. You may think that the perfume would not linger on the clubba, but it does. I don't know how the transformation really works.
Just, you know, simple shape changing, Lou.
Peach forgetting to musk up, says ch0msky.
What a disgusting way to put it. What an awful, awful phrase. Yeah, also Cammy just, you know, absolutely demolishing Peach. And yet, Peach takes him. Peach is one tough cookie.
Glower visiting Merlin after Chapter 6. Very important that they don't forget this, because not doing this means they cannot get to Chapter 7. That cutscene is required to get to Chapter 7. Definitely no one's ever forgotten that before. And they're about to fight Blooper here in the sewers. Pretty straightforward fight. A couple charges and a power bounce.
Yeah, at this point, both runners are, even with the limited level ups they've had, actually vastly, maybe not over leveled, but certainly over geared for this Blooper fight. His attacks, when blocked with the current badge setup, they only do 1 damage. And you absolutely just destroy him with super jump charge, excuse me. And 5 bounces, I believe.
Yeah, they're gonna go for 5 bounces here.
So interestingly, Glower blocked both ink attacks there, getting him to 13 HP, and if he can maintain this specific amount of health through the rest of the sewer section right here, he can actually save time on the upcoming Junior Troopa fight by blocking both of his attacks. Now his attacks are kind of difficult to block, so some runners choose not to do it. But it'll be interesting to see if, well, what happens here. But if Glower maintains the amount of HP he has,
ch0msky missing the ink block. It is a kind of tough block, but he's probably gonna have to eat the. I think he grabbed the second bubble berry.
he did, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so for ch0msky right now, I think eating the bubble berry and the dried shroom is optimal. He's going to get back to 15 HP and block exactly one of Junior Troopa's attacks, whereas Glower does not need to eat those and can block both of Junior's attacks to get into peril. Neither of them missing a life shroom, so no need to get this back up in the sewers. Glower making it through there without any encounters, so probably gonna go for the risky Junior Troopa fight. I say risky, but it's just an extra block. So yeah, ch0msky probably gonna eat the dried shroom and the bubble berry to get to 15 HP. I would hope he does that at some point. He will likely do it after the rest of the encounters are, or the potential encounters are over. Glower is going to start the murder mystery of Chapter 7. Switching to Sushi there while the door in the back is falling, because you can't actually open the next door until that door is done with its animation. So switching to Sushi there kind of overlaps the two cutscenes a little bit faster.
Yeah. A small time save there because you have to swap to Sushi relatively soon anyway. Glower currently being accused of murdering the mayor of Shiver City. And he's going to embark on a quest to determine he did not. And it looks like ch0msky just ate a life shroom.
Okay, so choosing to eat the life shroom, did he not get the backup life shroom?
I actually wasn't... I wasn't looking to see if he got the backup life shroom.
It's interesting. He may have to get the jail life shroom, which I believe is a little slower than the sewers life shroom, but it shouldn't really matter.
It's a little bit slower, but it is safer.
You think? ch0msky says he thinks jail is faster, so perhaps with the consideration of having to lure the Dark Koopa, that life shroom in the sewers is a little bit slower. But I would assume it's faster if you go for a risky life shroom grab. And yeah, Glower making his way into the warehouse to be able to access Herringway's house. Herringway is the penguin who's hopefully gonna help prove Mario's innocence. Yeah, so ch0msky will go get the jail life shroom when he gets to Chapter 8 in Bowser's Castle. And so I'm not actually sure. So, it's interesting, eating the life shroom versus and getting another one later versus eating a bubble berry and a dried shroom. I'm not actually sure which one is faster.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. It's an interesting thought.
Not a huge difference either way, so there are more important things to worry about for these runners. Thank you, Isaiah. We're doing our best.
Yeah, the real speedrun is actually speed reading all of the Japanese text in the game.
Yeah, because it scrolls by so quickly.
Thankfully, I have picture-perfect memory.
So Glower getting Herringway to the house, to the mayor's house, or yeah, I guess he is the mayor, to try and prove his innocence, but turns out he wasn't dead, so spoilers.
He just hit his head trying to get a gift for his dear friend Herringway.
Lopez, I'm not sure what you mean, but ch0msky probably did do the jump on the roof. If you just walk on the roof, you'll actually slide down. Mario will slide down the slope and jump, kind of slide off to the next roof. You can jump right before the slope starts and skip that animation, which is a little bit of time save. It's faster as far as I know. It's only a matter of frames, probably, though. Yeah, this is a fairly close race, considering all things considered. It's just that fuzzy thing in Chapter 1 for ch0msky that is kind of costing him a lot of time here. We'll see if Glower can block both of Junior's attacks. Here's one.
And this is a pretty tough attack to block.
And both of them,
there's two.
No problem. And the quick 5 bounce will do away with Chapter 7 Junior Troopa. And he will be on to fight Monstar. So, yeah, it looks like ch0msky's EXP will not be a problem here. A little discussion on Japanese going on in the chat.
All Glower has to do here is not drop the cap.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. No problem. FP upgrade. ch0msky also doing away with Junior Troopa. And there's only a few... Oh, because he is he's down 1 EXP now. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But I think at this point it doesn't matter. I don't think you're, even in the regular, you're never just leveling up at exactly 0, so...
'06 on the scarf for Glower. See what ch0msky gets for his bacon split.
The scarf does kind of look like bacon. Very tassely bacon, but bacon.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. Glower grabbing the rappel there behind the tree. Just a backup in case something goes amiss on Final Bowser, but neither of these runners should really need the backup repel gel. Should only use 1 repel gel for that fight.
Looks like 57 or 58 for ch0msky on the scarf.
So about 50 seconds? 50 seconds pretty much on the dot, it looks like.
Yeah. Which, you know what, for almost 3 hours in, that is
very close.
Surprisingly close. And even so, if depending on how RNG goes, the rest of the fight, I mean, for example, if the final Junior fight for Glower was a 3 cap, I mean, that's a minute right there, easily.
That is actually like more than a minute, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. I try to forget about the time I got the 3 cap, but it's a lot.
Yeah. So definitely Chapter 8 will be probably the deciding factor unless something goes very wrong. Chapter 8 has a lot of variance to it in the final fights. But Glower about to enter.
Call it Cool Mountain. CCM.
Yeah, cool mountain. We're
To get
entering
two
CCM.
2 additional stars. This is 16-star.
Yeah,
Paper
almost
Mario
3 hours
64.
in, we're entering CCM. Finally, it's a blind run. Don't fault them. Shiver Road, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's 2% on 3-cap junior. And
I got
thanks,
that in my.
thanks Isaiah.
I got that my
I
second
appreciate
run.
that. Oh, unfortunate. Hopefully, neither of these runners will see that. So,
Have we seen that in a tournament race yet?
we have not seen a 3-cap junior trooper. I'm hoping we will not see a 3-cap junior trooper.
I hope we don't. But that would be that'd be something.
That's got to be one of the only. I mean, I think that's the worst RNG part of the run. Right? Oh, 3-cap Crystal King. Sorry. So 3 caps on Crystal King and Junior Troopa are massive time losses.
I don't think I've ever personally seen a 3-cap Crystal King. It's something that I only ever hear about. But
yeah, that's something they don't want to happen. And first use of Hurricane on Glower's side, no problem for him. It's mashing the A and B button at the same time as fast as possible. And yeah, they're going to be using that for several of the fights. It's fast. It only takes a turn to get rid of all the enemies. And it also does not give us experience. So that's a crucial part of the EXP routing. There's a weird backup for Crystal King 3-cap. You need to Power Shock or Timeout Crystal King, which is RNG, so.
And Glower coming up on the Star Stone here. This is one of the longest cutscenes in the game just to get a key item. And this item is actually only used in one place, and it's basically immediately after we pick it up. It almost sounds like a joke from the developers, but we quite literally pick it up there, and in about 5 seconds from now, we're going to see Glower place it into this object right here. And we're going to have some ice stairs raised, which is a very another long cutscene. But then we get into the Crystal Palace, which is a very movement-intensive section of Chapter 7.
Yeah, this whole ice staircase thing is skippable in the glitched category, but unfortunately we have to watch this. Or maybe fortunately, since that's a very dumb, inconsistent trick. So, depends on your point of view.
Yeah, I'd count us very fortunate that we don't have to rely on doing that, because I've seen even the most consistent runners just lose runs to that, for no reason I was able to identify.
Very fickle trick.
And Glower entering the Crystal
Glower
Palace
at 32. So we will see where ch0msky is with that. Probably maintaining that 50-second-ish difference, if I had to guess. Not much to lose or save time to here. I wish we had Mega Jump strats in Glitchless. I really wish. Mega Jump is one of my favorite badges. It's useful in No Peach Warp for the final Bowser fight, but
and I believe 100% as well.
Or does 100% use Mega Jump? Well, 100%.
I think 100% uses Mega Jump.
Anyway, Mega Jump is not grabbed in Glitchless. It's kind of just, it's a Power Jump is more bang for your buck, pretty much. Anyway, so we'll be seeing a lot of Power Jump on Final Bowser. And Bombette, little laggy here on those stairs. And Inner Palace, 26 for ch0msky. So, what is that? 48 seconds? 46? 46? Wait, what did I just say? 48 seconds, I think. I don't remember what ch0msky's. I just said it, but I don't remember what it was.
Well, we've got our friendly Mr. Funny Fun keeping track for us, so just about 50.
54? Wait, is it really 54? All right, I guess it's a 54 difference. 32.
53. 53. Why is my math? No, wait. My math is terrible.
It was a 32 for Glower.
47, maybe. 47.
Who cares? Who cares? Who cares?
Remember,
Okay.
I dropped out of kindergarten. I don't know how to count.
Who cares?
I didn't learn subtraction.
52? 52? 54? Wait, 54? Whatever, it's somewhere around there. ch0msky is doing this duplicast fight and using Arcane. Glower is going to continue throughout the palace. And we'll see what happens. Glower's going to do this Bombette puzzle. And try not to hit the wrong Bombette somehow. That would be a ridiculous freak accident that happened.
It's actually been so long since I've messed it up. I know I probably screwed it up as a kid, but Blue, do you know what happens if you hit the wrong Bombette here?
Oh, you fight the 4 duplicats.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, so trying our best to avoid that. Although we do have 1 extra hurricane. So
I suppose you could use it there.
Yeah, you could. I've thought about, like, what if I accidentally hit Cooper many times, so.
At least the Cooper puzzle's easy. You just don't hit Cooper.
Correct. But in my zeal to go fast, I often worry about hitting the wrong Cooper or Bombette. So anyway, Glower is going to be doing the Hurricane Gauntlet here. Switching to Lackey in preparation for these 3 Clubba fights. This is where Hurricane really comes in handy. 3 Clubba fights where we're going to use Hurricane on all of them. No problem for the first one. Probably. I mean, these runners don't have a problem with Hurricane. And so I expect that the Gauntlet will go smoothly.
No, but that said, Hurricane is honestly kind of a blocker for some new runners. Mashing 1 button is relatively simple. Mashing a stick in a direction is relatively simple. But Hurricane is the combination of mashing 2 buttons and also being very tight. And it's mashing them at the same time. So Hurricane is actually a little bit tougher than these runners make it seem. Now, they're both very, very, very good at the mash here.
Yeah, I mean, you say mashing a stick in a direction is very straightforward, simple.
Well, compared to Hurricane,
we could be running Spook Route. We could be running Spook Route, and
we don't talk about Spook Route. We don't talk about Spook.
Yeah, Lopez, I think it is faster to switch to Lackey out of battle before these 3 Clubba fights. Wait, is that true? I feel like it's true. Glower, a little swag there. Oh, Glower messes up the Cooper hole there.
Alright, so now Glower has the puzzle of his life. Which one is the real Cooper, and which one are the imposters? Can he find out? And for anyone curious, that was not the fabled Luigi skip.
No, we'll be seeing Luigi get skipped probably, unless one of the runners decides to take Luigi to the party. And the rest of Crystal Palace, fairly straightforward. They're picking up P up, D down, which is a useful badge in Chapter 8. And, I don't think it's used until Chapter 8. But they are going to grab this and go back. A little bit of backtracking to get a key and continue onward to the boss. Not much. Huh?
I don't think PFD down's used till Final Bowser, so yeah, you're right.
It's used on Junior Trooper.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
It's part of the equips right before Junior. So
I always forget
it's
that.
used on, yeah. Yeah, both runners very monstrous human beings for killing Luigi, smashing him over the head. No one's ever accidentally grabbed D up, P down, because, or I think it's P down, D up, but if you know where P down, D up is, you know that there's no way someone accidentally grabbed it.
Yeah, it's pretty far out of the way. Yeah, with the
you would have to have no clue what you're doing.
Total and complete improvisation.
How have you, Isaiah? That's a feat. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. It's in chapter 3.
Glor making some interesting moves on the statue here.
Yeah, interesting puzzle. I don't know if this is faster. Who knows? If Glower's doing it, it can't be that much slower, so.
No, although this is one of those rooms that every runner I see differently every time they do it. You know, I see so many people do it one way one time, then a different way the next time, and then a different way the next time they do it after that. So, but Glower entering the Crystal King fight.
Isaiah, there are no badges in chapter 8. Well, there are, but they're in Peach's Castle and their last stand in Power Rush.
The most 2 important badges in the game, Blue.
You do get them in one of the Enter % rounds.
And Hundo.
And Hundo, yes. And Hundo. They're also 2 of the permanently missable badges in this game. I think they're the only 2 permanently missable badges in the game. I won't go into that right now. Glower on the Crystal King fight right now, doing the expert fight. He's got to block 2 of these next attacks out of the 3 bits that Crystal King will throw out.
And then just not get a bad cap.
No, it's not in chapter 7 either. The opposite of P up, D down is the castle key. And there's also triple dip in chapter 7.
And Glower getting the 4 bounce, 4 cap, and Shell Shot should kill.
Oh, is P down, D up in the breakable panel? Is it really? All right, I don't have any clue what I'm talking about. What badge is in chapter 3? Does someone want to? I don't know what badge I'm thinking of.
P down, D up is in the Crystal Palace. It's in the boarded up hole. So Glower's chapter 7 time is 8:36.
Yeah, I've definitely never grabbed that. Anyway, ch0msky can block these. Perfect.
Did ch0msky get the 5 cap?
I did not see.
We are at about a 55-second differential here.
And really not much going into Chapter 8. Let's just say that.
Now, Chapter 8, you hold B through it. They tie Peach up. They beat her up a little bit. And so we've got a 55-second lead for Glower going into Chapter 8 here. And, you know, despite the fact that this is the end of the game, Chapter 8 has been known to troll some people pretty badly with a pretty healthy dose of RNG. All the bosses have a pretty hefty RNG component to them. Junior is less likely to go poorly, but when he does, it's actually the most costly for time using this route. So, you know, fingers crossed it doesn't happen. But you know, with certain pieces of RNG, it's still technically anyone's run.
Alright, I have an update. The badge I'm thinking of is D down jump in Tubabolo's castle. And you have to do a spin jump through something.
Oh, and you land on the.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Update. Yeah, it's on a table. Or some platform.
Glower coming up on the most important trick in Glitchless, Blue House Skip, in which you go into Blue House the normal way, and then you leave.
ch0msky says he regrets the spike jump, and I agree. I think he should not have gone for that.
I think everyone should go for it.
It's such a close race. I think. I don't know. I was a little hesitant.
I might be biased, but I think the spike jump is one of the most valuable tricks in any Glitchless runner's arsenal. And not because people, you know, sometimes use my name with it. So Glower is now climbing Star Summit one more time, and he's gonna go off into space, and we're gonna see some interesting stuff here.
Yeah, we totally bypass one of the coolest areas in the game, which is Starhaven. We just kind of run through there. Sorry for any Starhaven fans.
They've got cheap life rooms.
It's the only Toad house that isn't run by a Toad in the entire game.
Well, for the Starhaven aficionados, please pay attention, because just don't blink. Here's Starhaven, very pretty. There's the Toad House. You can see the star. You can see the Star Kid. And there.
All right. Well, we do end up running through the whole thing, so it does pan to every part of Starhaven. So got a nice shot of the entire area.
I remember as a kid playing through this game, getting to Starhaven was so hype. You know, it had the best item shop. It had all the cool stuff.
Oh yeah, the end of the game is super hype in a casual playthrough, as a kid at least.
I mean, Chapter 7 and Chapter 8, honestly, are just some of the... I mean, they're very hard, but from a satisfaction perspective of actually beating the game for the first time, it's just... Oh man. You know? It impacted my formative years, let me tell you that. But now I've got Glower flying off in the giant space bathtub, and we're going to listen to an absolute banger for a little while.
Yeah, good song, good cutscene. I loved this cutscene as a kid. Definitely was a really fulfilling part getting here and seeing all the Toads making their wishes, and knowing that I was about to get to the final area, entering Bowser's castle. Pretty hype. So yeah, we got something to look forward to. Let's see how Chapter 8 plays out for Glower and ch0msky in this semifinal race. Super hype race, as this could be the comeback from ch0msky in this Chapter 8. So we will see. And yep, Glower doing his badge equips here. Power Quake, Dizzy Spin, and Speedy Spin. So
Glower not going for the Dizzy Spin.
a little faster. You don't have that extra animation getting into the fight, and you want to be closer to the door to exit the fight. Getting the good key direction as well, so he's off. He's having a pretty quick start to this Chapter 8, but in probably about a minute and a half, the real tough part is going to start. The old star said, "We're giving you our ability. It will disable Bowser's Star Rod ability, and we are also making a ship for you to fly to Bowser's castle."
All the wishes. I'm actually pretty sure one of the Toad's wishes for like cookies or something. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't know the wishes. I wasn't paying attention. Otherwise, I would have read them for you. So
They also go by very quick.
yeah, pretty quickly. All right, we'll see how Glower and ch0msky get through this lava basement. This is pretty tough, honestly. They're gonna have to do some platforming and some pretty precise jumps. So we'll see how they get through here. Supposed to use Lackey to get to this switch. Gonna use Paracarry instead by just aligning. And I'm gonna jump to this platform hopefully. And he makes it. Looked a little sketchy, but no problem.
Yeah, that's a very precise jump. And so is that angle, actually.
Gets that jump. Yeah, that jump is really tough too.
And the
gets
third,
all these hard jumps. So.
All the jumps, no problem from Glower.
Yeah, ch0msky will have to remember to get this life stream here. Hopefully he does. And Glower is going to do a thing here. He'll switch to Lackey and hop on Lackey before entering his room, which allows him to make a certain cycle here. And it's kind of an interesting trick. I don't really know why it works. He's going to get up here, get on Lackey, and then jump on this platform before it reaches the, you know, the leftmost platform, I guess. And if you ride Lackey onto that platform before it hits the left platform, it'll actually reverse instantly without having to wait for it to reach all the way to the side and then go back. So a bit of a time save there. ch0msky's also, I think, going to go for that. And ch0msky also making it through this platforming section without a problem, as far as I can tell.
So is it easier to do that jump without much of a running start? I don't know if it's necessarily easy. You know, it depends. If you can line yourself up, it's...
Yeah, it's more important that you jump as close to the edge as possible than if you have like a really big running start. Just because Mario already gets his full running speed pretty quickly, and ch0msky also going for this cycle. Our last level up of the run, BP, just so we can equip all the badges we'll need for the final boss rush. Okay, ch0msky did take a burn apparently, but he makes that cycle, so... And yeah, it's more important for that vertical jump that you just jump as close to the edge as possible. So that's why probably people go more to the edge. Easier to time, I think. Alright, getting this key, then going back to do the blind basement. I think Glower is just going to use his TV, so you will not be able to see anything, really. If you've never seen this, this could look pretty cool. So there's a dark room. There's a few dark rooms in the basement here coming up with some enemies. You're supposed to use Watt to get through this maze, but if if you have the right brightness on your TV, you can actually see the collision and even the enemies without needing Watt. So it looks like he's just blindly navigating, but he can actually just barely see the room with either he turns the brightness up all the way on his TV, or the brightness is just already really good on his TV.
Yeah, it's a very interesting. I wouldn't call it a trick, but it's just kind of an interesting way that darkness was implemented in a lot of these old games. You know, Paper Mario was obviously, you know, the most obvious example here, but I remember playing some Matrix game on like the PS2 when you were supposed to get, you know, a flashlight to brighten everything up, and really you could just turn up the brightness on the TV. It's kind of interesting how dark rooms were really implemented in so many games in the early 2000s.
Glower is ahead right now on your right by 50 plus seconds, 50 seconds to a minute. ch0msky, we're going to see do the blind basement as well. Hopefully it goes well for him as well. It's like well a lot. And Glower coming up on Flood Room. Unfortunately has to do all of the Flood Room. Cannot skip any of it in Glitchless.
Thankfully, Flood Room isn't exactly tricky. There's not really a lot of time save or time loss here. It's just...
a little bit tedious to have to do, but
yeah.
Not a problem. No, ch0msky can definitely bring this back. It's mostly out of RNG, to be honest. So we'll see what happens in the final fights. I mean, you know, depending on how Final Bowser and Hallway Bowser go, you could definitely see the comeback. Yeah, it's all pretty much down to RNG unless they have like pretty major spaghetti between now and then.
God, you're making me hungry, Blue.
For spaghetti?
For anything, but spaghetti would be lovely, thanks.
I could go for some spaghetti as well.
Alright, so it's settled. We're all getting Italian food as soon as this run is over. Courtesy of our sponsor, Bertucci's.
And then Glower is going to go get this key now that he has the water at the highest level. ch0msky just starting the Flood Room now. And yeah, not too much to say. Luckiest Lobster with the hot take that spaghetti is the worst pasta type. I strongly disagree, but... yes, disclaimer, this race is not actually sponsored by Bertucci's.
Nor Crystal Geyser, nor Poland Springs.
Nor Crystal Geyser, you're right.
Nor Budweiser.
No, definitely not Budweiser. Did we mention that?
No, but just in case.
Just in case. List off every brand every company we're not sponsored by.
This delicious Stormalong cider I am drinking right now. Also not a sponsor of this GSA race.
Glower pulling down the chain for the last time, going to get past the Flood Room and onto the Cannon Room. And there's a trick in this game we call Cannonless. Unfortunately not allowed in Glitchless.
But there's Glitchless Cannonless.
Yeah, there's Glitchless Cannonless. So this is pretty much the reason we got Dizzy Attack and are going to be using here. By Dizzy spinning into the bullet bills, they're going to basically just be able to run away from the encounter without any problems and use the invincibility frames from these encounters to get past the cannons. So that's what that looks like. These upper platforms are a little tougher though, so we'll see if anything goes wrong. They do not want any extra encounters.
Glower playing it very safe and getting very, very close to those cannons there.
But no problem. Glower should have no problem on the fourth platform either. Yeah, very safe. The cannon's taking a little bit longer to fire, but so a little bit of time to be made for ch0msky, I guess. But again, really going to come down to those final three boss fights, really. The boss rush and the RNG on those fights. And potentially the blocks if they mess up something. And hopefully Glower doesn't get boned. Oh, that was really close.
That was very close, yeah.
That guy on Glower's screen throws bones at you while you're pushing this block. You can't really get out of the way. You just have to hold up and spin as fast as possible. And if he throws the bone at the wrong time, there's nothing you can do. You get that encounter. And also Glower doing this lure for the Hammer Bro so that the Hammer Bro does not encounter him as well. So yeah, pretty clean rooms for Glower there. And he is able to move on to the quiz at door 2. So we'll see what his door 2 time is, and we can kind of compare their times at the end of the quiz.
If somebody fails the quiz, that just means they have to answer 2 additional questions. If they somehow fail the quiz,
if someone actually fails the quiz, that's very bad.
Yeah, actually failing the quiz means this is a really bad all bosses.
Yeah, they will need to I don't know.
Defeat
they would
3
the
anti-guys? Yeah,
like
the anti-guy squad.
Yeah. And that's pretty much impossible for this kind of route, and would really screw up the EXP if they manage to win somehow. So
yeah, for
really
sure
hope that doesn't happen.
Definitely not recommended.
ch0msky also getting this lure, not getting boned, so all these block pushing rooms going cleanly for both runners. And both of these runners are doing really well overall. Glower's on really good pace. ch0msky had some mistakes that are costing him, but it's close enough, and ch0msky has played well enough to the point where this run could really come down to the final 3 fights. And Glower does have a incredibly comfortable lead, but nothing is incredibly comfortable for the last 3 fights. Junior Troopa, Hallway, and Final Bowser. So we'll see how those go.
Yeah, if Glower just gets abysmal luck on Junior Troopa, ch0msky is in the lead as long as the same thing doesn't happen to him, but I mean, it really is just, it's down to RNG at this point. I mean, the fact that it's so close at the very end of a now 3.5 hour run, this is insanity. Both runners have just played incredibly well. Glower being very consistent, and ch0msky doing a really good job, trying to take back some of that time he lost to an early mistake, but it's still not over. Anything can happen in a race, as we've all seen.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that Glower does did at one point have, I think earlier this year, had all the records in Paper Mario, so definitely one of the best players to touch the game. So ch0msky really showing that he can go head-to-head against him. Toe-to-toe, even.
Glower
choosing to save there, not a bad option, especially given his lead. That is, I don't know, maybe for Junior Troopa, just in case something goes wrong. He does have 2 life rooms, so should be able to win with a 3 cap, but definitely worth it probably to save. It's like 2 seconds, and he's got pretty comfortable lead right now. Luring that Hammer Bro away, otherwise runs the risk of encountering him while he's opening the door. And I forgot to check what Glower's door 2 time is, so I will check, I guess, when he gets to the duplicate room.
So he unlocked that door past the Hammer Bro at 28:34. So we can at least 28:34 for getting past the Hammer Bro.
Glower getting through that maze, the callback to the original Super Mario Brothers games with the, the puzzles in Bowser's Castle. We're gonna save Princess Peach here. Turns out Princess Peach is actually a duplicate. You know, what if this whole time it wasn't the Duplighost that was Princess Peach? What if Princess Peach was just a Duplighost?
ch0msky about a minute 10 behind at this point.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm not sure where he lost that time. Still down to the final 3 fights and the patterns they get on those. Glower may actually be able to win regardless of RNG here if he doesn't mess anything up. I'm not actually sure, but does his equips before Junior Troopa, and we will see how Junior Troopa treats him. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot about the 3-cap. If Glower gets 3-capped here, ch0msky I think is probably ahead or very close to it.
That is a big loss if he gets a 3-cap here. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Loss, yeah. So Glower praying for a 98% chance that he doesn't get 3-capped. So when you put it that way. Yeah, definitely not something you want to see happen.
No, especially not in a race like this. But if you're cheering for the underdog,
if you're ch0msky, you want to see it.
I bet ch0msky would love the 3-cap.
Well, he would love it if Glower got a 3-cap.
Oh, for sure.
We'll find out right here. All right.
4-cap
a little
for
sigh
Glower.
of relief getting the 4-cap or the 4 bounce. So no problem, and he will move on to Hallway Bowser, as long as he remembers to eat the jam and jelly.
Admittedly, with Hallway Bowser and Final Bowser, depending on how these fights go, if ch0msky gets good fights and Glower does not, it's still not too far behind. So it's still RNG.
I think ch0msky might need Beamless at this point, though, regardless of Hallway. We'll see.
Maybe, but there is a chance.
So we'll see if the game has it in the cards for ch0msky to win this race. But Glower is moving on.
Yeah, Glower approaching Hallway Bowser. I guess we could call it the first phase of really the Bowser fights here.
Yeah.
Fight little tiny hallway.
Yeah. As long as Glower doesn't mess up either of these fights, then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so what Glower wants to see here is basically just a 2-turn hallway. He wants to get the right bounce caps for power bounce, which will allow him to dispatch Bowser in 2 rather than 3 or even 4 turns.
He did get a 5-cap there. Good.
That's a very good sign for Glower.
So he will just keep bouncing as long as he can, I think, on this next turn. Either the 7-cap for the quick kill, or well, actually it doesn't matter. But he gets a 4-cap, so 1 extra turn. He's gonna Star Rod and have to take an extra turn to kill.
Yeah, so 2.5 turn Bowser. And power jump to kill.
And ch0msky will save a little bit of time, probably 10-15 seconds, if he gets the 2-turn Hallway Bowser.
And
yeah, I'm not sure why the route says 7 and 4. The route says if you get a 7-cap, you can go for a 4-cap. But I don't know if that's faster.
I think it's for safety.
Potentially, yeah. Anyway, we'll see what ch0msky is given here. All up to the game. Gets the 5-cap, so definitely has the shot at 2 turns still.
So he's actually not invincible after using the Star Rod. It just increases his defense.
Oh, and the same fight, 5 and a 4. So he will have to use that extra turn as well. So
it is insane how close the RNG for these two have been. I mean, every fight is basically just a mirror of the other.
Yeah. On the final Bowser fight, so this fight that Glower's coming up on, he is actually invincible completely when using Star Rod. So he will need to. Glower will need to use Peach Beam for that.
That is true.
That is true. A game crash will could, save this race for ch0msky if Glower's game crashes.
Yes, if it's
So
storming
hopefully-
where Glower lives, but I don't think it's storming there.
Hopefully, Glower does not kick his N64 randomly. Let's check the weather. I'm gonna check the weather. Hold on.
Well, it's very hot here.
It is very hot. Yeah. Well, it's clear skies on the radar for Glower's area, so no problem.
So the first phase of Final Bowser, we want to get a 4 and a 3. That enables us to, well, not have to swap partners here. We can do Peach Beam normally and proceed to the second phase.
So Glower got a 4 cap and then a 4 bounce and a 3 bounce, which is exactly what he wants. No more and no less. He doesn't want a double 4 cap. A double 3 cap is fine, but it's a little time loss. Nothing else. So he did get that, and he will just switch to para carry at the start of phase 2.
We'll see if ch0msky can do the same.
Yes. Troy, we did break the weather, but we'll see if... I was just checking if, Huff and Puff was causing problems again. And ch0msky did get a 4 cap there, I think. Unless I'm bad at counting.
Nope, ch0msky got the 4 and the 3. Glower is currently in the twink fight.
Alright. Go to the bathroom right now if you need to. This is a good break.
Yeah, for real. Anybody who feels the need to get up and stretch their legs, maybe go make a burger. Impossible
Or
burger for all my
spaghetti.
vegetarian friends.
Spaghetti.
Some spaghetti from
Yeah,
Bertucci's.
please don't make spaghetti. We're not trying to have any spaghetti on this final fight. It is by far the hardest fight in the game. Most fights are fairly easy, except for RNG. This fight is 100% consistent if you
play perfect.
do everything right. If you hit everything right. However, it's the easiest fight to mess stuff up on. There are a lot of attacks Bowser can do. They're not set like we know pretty much what all the other bosses will do, but Bowser has a more interesting AI pattern. So he can do a lot of different things, and that means you could lose potentially a lot of time. So the RNG won't kill you if you do everything right, but it will potentially cost a lot of time. And I don't know if it's enough for ch0msky to take the lead here, but beamless for ch0msky would be a lot of time, and so we'll see what happens. But definitely easy to screw up this fight. But these are two of the top runners again. They're both looking like they're sub 350 pace, which is insane for this tournament. So
Yeah,
good luck to both of these guys going into the final fight, and we'll see what comes of it. And we'll try and commentate on Bowser's different patterns as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the topic of Final Bowser, there's a fight that we won't be seeing in this race today, but there is a strat in which you just use super jump charge and then hope and pray for the right cap, but that has an even higher chance of just outright failing. Bowser has this wave attack that actually strips your buffs from you, and if that happens, the run's just over after over 3.5 hours.
So the difference between the two runners is about 1:10, I think. And I think beamless could probably save like, I don't know, almost a minute. We'll see. So Glow, we're going to start by doing Peach Beam and switching to para carry for the rest of the fight. This is pretty standard for the 4 and the 3 bounce in phase 1. And then they will start doing damage and blocking Bowser's attacks. Block the claw, good. The hardest
Claw's
block,
one of the-
in my opinion.
First claw is one of the absolute worst attacks to miss, because that totally screws up the fight, depending on what your next attack is.
Blocking
if you
butt
get-
stomp.
If you get hit with another claw and you block it, or a blocked butt stomp, you can actually survive and it's okay, but
Okay, turn 3 fire. Unblocked. I don't...
probably
that's not-
intentional.
that doesn't... Intentional? I don't know. It doesn't
No.
bode well, for sure.
Likely, well, he didn't need to block it.
Correct.
I'll put it that way.
But if he did try and miss it, that's... So Bowser right now should be at 30 health, and he's going to Peach Beam. Turn 4 Beam is... Or he's going to Star Rod. So turn 4 Star Shield is the most common pattern, so that's to be expected. He's going to Shell Shot, and he'll be at 25 HP. He cannot do more damage, so until he's in danger or peril. And Bowser will do an attack here that determines what the fight will look like for Glower.
Now, he
wants fire.
Fire. Yeah.
That's good.
A blocked fire. This is perfect.
Yeah,
and he hits it. So this puts
Glower.
Glower into peril.
We'll see what happens. He wants a 5 cap. Okay, he gets a 4 cap. That's not too bad. This is looking like it's in the bag for Glower. He's gonna wave. He'll lose a life shroom. Yeah, and so
he just hits one more turn.
Barring something very strange, Glower should take this. And ch0msky, I think, got turn 3 shield. Yeah,
and that is final Bowser for Glower.
Alright, so GG on Glower. ch0msky getting the worst turn for shield. He shielded it as early as possible, which is not what you want to see.
But the race is not over yet.
Yeah, correct. But barring anything terrible, Glower is looking like a 347, which is very good for a race. Very good for this tournament.
Yeah, very, very good. Absolutely.
Oh, getting waved. That's not what you want to see. So ch0msky's going to show off the danger fight here. He's going to repel gel. If he got fire, he would have been in peril and went for a power bounce just like Glower. But instead, he's just going to he's going to use the repel gel and keep power bouncing or power jumping and shell shotting until Bowser is dead. Alright, so he will win the fight with this skydive, I think. And that is it. So GG for ch0msky, GG for Glower. Glower will take this by...
just about a minute.
A minute, yeah. Looking like a minute. So huge congrats to both these runners. Glower will be the one moving on to the finals. And, alright, I guess I shouldn't say that. It's not technically over yet, but, barring any game crashes or anything silly like that. Glower's looking like he'll take it. There are some cutscenes left, and then they will go to the party, go to Peach's Castle at the very end. And I guess I want to say that both runners played really well. ch0msky had one insanely big mistake, and that was failing the fuzzy minigame in Chapter 1, which is very uncharacteristic, very surprising from ch0msky. And I think without that mistake, it would have been an insanely close race here down to the very end. Unfortunately, lost just like too much time from that, and so unfortunate to see. But Glower played super well and super consistently the whole time. RNG was pretty good. Didn't really favor one player or the other, except for the Fright Jar fail for ch0msky and the
final Bowser.
Speedy Spin and then final Bowser, yeah. So both runners played super well. ch0msky was making a really good comeback. He went from a minute behind to 15 seconds. So played really out of his mind there. And really good showing from both these runners. So a super cool race. Congrats to both runners for putting on such an awesome performance. I was very, very excited to be able to commentate that race.
Yeah, absolutely. This was just insane how close it was. I mean, despite the challenges that popped up early on, I mean, both runners just played absolutely incredibly to really make up all that time. So absolutely incredible. And I think this likely may have been the closest race that we've seen in this Invitational so far.
Yeah, this is going to come down to like a minute of time difference, something like that. So, a little more than a minute, I guess. So, yeah, big congratulations to both these runners putting on a really good show in the semifinals. And we'll see what ch0msky and Butterlord, who are the top 2 any percent glitchless Paper Mario runners in this tournament. They're squaring off tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. That's 17:30 UTC, if I'm also not mistaken. Be sure to tune in for that because that's going to be super cool. Going to determine who moves on to the finals. In addition to one of these guys, probably imglower. And that's going to be super hype. Both of the next few matches are going to be hype. We also have the bronze match going to be scheduled at some point as well. So stick around, watch the last few matches of the Paper Mario Glitchless Invitational on twitch.tv/speedrun. And in a few minutes, we will see the end of this run right here.
Yeah, all that's left is for both Glower and ch0msky to hold B for a while, wait for a bunch of text, and hopefully we'll see one of the runners bring Luigi.
Yeah, either one, really. Or both.
One or both.
ch0msky saying skip Luigi to Glower. ch0msky wants to be the one to bring Luigi. To take Luigi. And the final story trigger of the game right here. Just happened on Glower's screen. That transition to Mario and Luigi in their house. Glower?
Let's see if he does it.
No, Glower's choosing to
Glower
take
is
Luigi
bringing
to
Luigi.
the party. Let's go.
Glower being
So
a
we're
good
gonna see-
sibling.
We are going to see the first Luigi skip in the tournament. Oh, messing up the menu, but also... Oh, Glower. Glower.
Walking. Oh, man.
Glower.
Speedy spin
all
coming
right.
in.
Glower's going to spin, yeah. Glower's going to waste a little time, get the star piece. He is
Well, now it's a
absolutely
1-star piece run. Now it's a 1-star piece run.
Yeah, 347 on the 1-star piece run. I'm going to talk to Vince. He is still going to end up with a 347. Super impressive time in this race for Glower. Going to enter this final cutscene. Absolute BM from him at the end, just wasting time. We'll see how ch0msky retaliates if he does. Nothing he can really do. And yeah, talking to Vince, aka the Big Yoshi, aka Vince King, aka Vince.
All right, and time coming up for Glower.
And ch0msky skipping
3:47, 38 for Glower.
3:47, 38. ch0msky just playing it out to the very end. Wonder if he'll get the star piece. Getting the spin cancels. Yeah, and ch0msky gonna end up with a mid 348. Sorry. Is he gonna go for Vince? Not talking to Vince. And mid 348, very good for ch0msky as well. Glower, your winner of this match, this semifinal glitchless match between Glower and ch0msky, 347 and 348, very close run. Just really close between these two players. So really good showing, and GG, congrats to both of these guys for an awesome showing. And we will see if they want to get in here for a quick interview after their race.
Absolutely insane. What do you say to best 2 out of 3, Blue? What do you think?
Best 2 out of 3, exactly. Just switch it up. It was pretty close. So really, really good showing. We'll see how Butterlord and ch0msky do on Saturday. I guess that's tomorrow.
Yeah, or today,
ch0msky,
depending on where you're from.
Welcome to the call, ch0msky. How are you feeling about that race?
Hey guys, I'm really happy with that race. Honestly, it was super close. There was a point early on where, when I failed that fuzzy, where I was just like, "Damn, GG." But actually, it didn't turn out to be as big of a disaster as I was anticipating. Honestly, most time loss that came from that was just how I had to handle the moles afterwards. And I think like mid to late game, Glower got slightly better RNG, but honestly, I don't think any of those things would have made a difference. He probably still would have beat me out, which is kind of cool because I don't know. You hate to see a race like this just come down to purely RNG, but Glower outplayed me for sure. So, congrats and GG to him.
Well, you outpaced Glower in the credits here at the end. So,
wow, I wonder
on your
how,
win. If we timed to the credits still, we would time to the end still.
The sheer disrespect. I actually told him before
Yeah.
the race I was gonna beat him and bring Luigi, so I deserve that.
Yeah. Glower, also welcome to the call. How are you feeling about the race and your win?
Pretty good, I guess.
Over ch0msky. Pretty good.
The race,
Any like comments? Anything that
gonna
went
beat
good
him
or
and
bad
bring
that you
Luigi.
want to talk about?
I'm trying to think. Well, Speedy Spin, of course, but you know that just happens, I guess.
Pretty good.
And then I got an encounter in chapter 5, and those were like the biggest things I think that went wrong.
Yeah, you guys both played really well. It was really fun to commentate. It like didn't really feel like you guys were making terrible mistakes. I mean, like there was the one at the beginning, unfortunately for ch0msky, but ch0msky was like bringing it back really until the mid game there, and you both got that encounter in chapter 5. Well, different encounters, but so it was like getting pretty close, and then Glower just kind of took off at the very end and got the better final Bowser pattern to top it all off. So and the BM.
Kind of like every opportunity I had to catch up on him, I kind of wasted. Like he got the encounter in the jungle, and then I got that encounter in the jungle, which is like super unusual. And then I could catch up a little bit in chapter 6 after moles, and then I went for head nisk jump because how can you not? So yeah, I mean, I played pretty well, just a little too sloppy to take the win. So still really happy because I think this was probably I'd have to double check, but I think this might have been the closest race. So that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, without a
within
doubt,
a minute, technically within a minute, but
yeah, no, it's within under a minute.
I thought Glower
we don't need to talk
slow
about
go at the end somehow. So
yeah, I've never seen Mario move that slow. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was slow go for sure. Well, I was really honored to commentate that race. That was really fun. You guys put on such a good show, and yeah, I'm sure everyone has a good taste in their mouth after that. Hopefully, and we will look forward to Butterlord and JCog playing tomorrow, Saturday at 1:30 Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. That's 17:30 UTC. Be here, be square, be there. What's the saying? Whatever.
Be there or be square.
Yeah, something like that. Twitch.tv/speedrun. Be here for the last semifinal match before the finals. We'll see who goes on to the finals to play Glower for the crown of this Glitchless Invitational. And yeah, be sure to keep up with GSA. Follow them everywhere. YouTube. Check out their schedule. Put the commands in chat or something. And yeah, so I guess we'll be on our way. That's all for me. I've been Blue Crystal.
And I'm Head Nisk.
And go follow these runners, ch0msky and imglower, for more high-level Paper Mario action. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again to GSA for hosting. Any last comments, guys?
Just congrats to Glower, and you guys did really good commentating. I was listening to a lot of it, so good job to you guys.
Oh, well, thanks, ch0msky.
Thank you. I think that's everything.
Well, yep. Thanks for watching, guys, and tune in tomorrow for the next match. All right.
Thanks, everyone, and
see ya.
Have a good night, everyone.